rules and guidance can be given on how classified information should be tabled, then I'm well guided by the House.
I was asking you, in what form is your classified information?
Mr. Speaker, I have it with me, but I didn't bring it because under the standing orders does not give guidance on how classified information is tabled before the House.
So what are you tabling before this House?
Further information.
What you are substantiating? What are you tabling?
I don't know why Kalwale is mad.
Sorry?
He's saying I'm wasting the time of the House. So, Speaker...
Can you read out what you are tabling?
No, these are a dispatch from the National Police Service in the official communication. Then maybe I can table. Then I thought the procedure is tabled, then they verify, then they get back to me. That is the procedure of the House, unless the standing orders have changed.
What you need to do is to substantiate.
I thought part of
your claim.
I thought part of
substantiate orally, and then you can table any evidence that you have.
No, the evidence that is here, Mr. Speaker, is based on number of occasions where National Police Service have alleged that the public sometimes have used violence in some of these meetings. This is a dispatch that was done on 8 February 2026. There are a number of them, Mr. Speaker, where the police have suffered also the attack. This was in October 29, 2025, among others.
Suppose to substantiate. Do you know what your statement was and what you should substantiate? You're not substantiating police information or whatever they communicated. You are substantiating your allegations about a meeting in Kitengela. That is what you should substantiate.
And that is why, Mr. Speaker, I'm saying that is classified information.
You know, you are a lawyer of, where is the professor? Professor just left because he schooled you very well.
Mr. Speaker.
You are supposed to substantiate your allegations.
Mr. Speaker.
We don't need any police statements in this floor. What the standing order requires you to do is to substantiate the allegations that you send.
But the authority, the evidence I rely on is what the police who have power on policing and security matters have over it, Mr. Speaker. And that is why I'm requesting. I wish members would be patient because it will even inform a future engagement in the House. And I'm asking a very critical point, that is classified information allowed to be tabled. If it is not, Mr. Speaker,
Senator Chalege, you know what you are supposed to do, the rules of the House. You know what you are supposed to do is to substantiate the allegations that you made yesterday. They were stated. Can I read to you once again?
No, Mr. Speaker, I understand, but I needed the indulgence on the classified information part. If
you
can guide me...
You know, you are going the opposite. Can you substantiate?
Mr. Speaker, and that is why I have information here that I wanted to table.
Have your seat. Let me read again to you what you said. Because I can, no, just a minute, Senator Sifuna. What you are supposed to substantiate is your statement that I want to read to you. And please don't waste any time for this House. This is a serious House. You either substantiate or withdraw. Withdrawing is not a weakness. Apologizing is not a weakness. That is a very positive strength. But if you want to take us into circles, then you'll be, unfortunately, standing under 121, you'll face the consequences of standing under 121. And this is what you said, Senator Dr. Rengwe, in just a minute. We are facing issues of extrajudicial killings. There is a young man called Ayomo who was unfortunately killed in Kitengela over the weekend. I urge our colleagues who organize political rallies, because I can see a number of them in this House, not to sponsor violence in their own meetings. They need to notify the police in good time. They should issue notifications and stop sponsoring violence in their own meetings. That is what you are supposed to substantiate, not to deliver police statements. in this house. We don't need the statements from the police, from the IG, even from Interpol. We don't need their statements. Just substantiate your allegations. Or if you don't, of course, I learn to you what you should do. Senator Chalagay.
Mr. Speaker, so that the House can proceed and in the comfort of the House, I beg to withdraw and apologize. But I know in fullness of time I'll be proved. I thank you.
Don't give any rinder when you are apologizing. There are no rinders, of course. Now that the Senator Chereya has withdrawn and apologized, that means he is on the floor. So we don't need to hit him more than that, Senator Sifuna. When a man apologizes, just let's leave it at that point. Sorry? Okay, proceed. But let's now that matter is already dealt with, please, honorable members.
You know, Honorable Speaker, the clarification that the Honorable Speaker, please just 1 minute, Honorable for Senator for Kitui. Speaker, I think we all were elected to this House and we sought to take the proceedings of this House extremely seriously. Some of us are considering whether we should sit in a House with somebody who makes a mockery of the rules of the House, gets away with it, and we have to sit here and attend to business brought by that same member because he has chosen a path that ensures he doesn't face any consequences. Yesterday, Honorable Speaker, the entire country was in shock that a Speaker of a House, and I'm not going to name him because I'll be told to bring a substantive motion, kicked somebody out of Parliament for something they said on TV. On TV, Honorable Speaker, forgetting the precincts of Parliament. In my understanding, the Parliamentary Powers and Privileges Act exists to regulate.
Senator Sifuna, you know we cannot discuss the speaker.
That's the clarification I'm coming to.
Of course, even if you don't want to mention his name,
no.
It is a speaker of the National Assembly.
I want to tie something up.
That ruling is in the public domain.
I want to tie something up with the conduct we have seen. Just give me...
What clarification do you want?
This is the clarification that I'm seeking because I will be in Kakamega. I will be in Kakamega in a public rally this Saturday. Nobody needs to die in that rally. And it is quite unfortunate because I was the person in Kitengela when we lost a 28-year-old Vincent Ayom. Honorable Speaker, really, are we a house of respect when a member blatantly violates the rules and then gets away in the manner in which it says because the standing orders say so? There are no standing orders that say I can't speak in funerals or birthday parties. You can't punish me. You don't have jurisdiction over me when I'm in the funeral. How is it possible that that can happen in that house? And what we have seen, the spectacle we have seen here, can happen in the Senate? Honorable Speaker, with all due respect, I think it is an insult for members, especially for those of us who witnessed the violence in Kitengela, that somebody can do this, and then you allow him off with a slap on the wrist. Speaker, we have every right not to sit here and listen to Senator Cherargei. And for him to abuse this hallowed house, it is very, very unfortunate, Honorable Speaker.
Senators, you know, these standing orders are not creation of the chair. The standing orders are creation of the Senate, this whole house. If, Senator Wambua, please. I'm giving guidance to this house, and then you are making noise to me. Why should you do that? Senator Wambua, you know I am not really... Senator, I'm talking to Senator Watenya. So the issue is because he spoke before you?
No, I'm not saying that. I'm saying the Speaker, I have something to say.
Why are you engaging me, Senator Wambua? You cannot manage me in this chair, please. Please. And if it is because the seat of the Deputy Minority Leader is close to the Speaker, that can be moved to any other corner. Yes. Because you are misusing the proximity to the Speaker to make a noise to the chair. You can't do that to me. No. Please. It's not possible. You see now I'm trying to intervene or to listen to Nairobi Senator Sifuna. the Deputy Minority Whip, before I finish with him, and then you are echoing on this other side. Why shouldn't you do that? So, Senator, what I was saying, Senator for Nairobi, Senator Sifuna, the senator for this Ingrisha city, the standing order zone of 5.2 is requesting the speaker, if the member fails to substantiate, he should withdraw and apologize. So what else should I do to a member? Because we are using these standing orders. Can we change them? Then we can be doing other punishments to the members. Yeah? And you see, I was not soft with him. So I think we should make progress, honorable senators. Because we are already dispensed that matter. Next, Senator Chadege, now you can lead your statements.
Speaker, let me read my statements. Request for a statement on the recent disputes between Matatu and border operators. Mr. Speaker, sir, I raise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Roads, Transportation and Housing on a matter of county-wide concern regarding the recent disputes between Matatu and border operators in Nairobi City County, which have escalated into violent confrontations, destruction of property, and transport strikes that have paralyzed movement across the city. Mr. Speaker, sir, on February 2nd, 2026, Matatu operators staged a protest in Nairobi following a violent clashes where Matatus were allegedly torched and drivers attacked by border riders. The strike left thousands of commuters stranded along major routes such as Thika Road, Jogoo Road, Outer Ring Road, and Tomboya streets, while border riders and ride-hailing services hiked fares, worsening the plight of ordinary Kenyans. These disputes have raised serious concerns about lawlessness, lack of regulation, and government's failure to protect both operators, commuters, and borders. In the statement, the committee should address the following: the current status of investigation into the violent incidences against Matatu operators by border operators, including the agencies leading the inquiry, and measures be taken to ensure accountability. The immediate actions, number 2, implemented to protect Matatu operators, commuters, and borders from further attacks and disruptions, and details of any formal communication issued by Ministry of Roads and Transport in collaboration with the Ministry of Interior, National Administration, to inform the public steps taken to resolve the dispute between Matatu and border operators. Number 3, existing mechanisms regulating border operations, the effectiveness of these measures in preventing lawlessness and violent confrontations, and how current transport policies are being enforced to ensure accountability and fairness, including identification of any regulatory loopholes requiring reform. Number 4, Mr. Speaker, the extent to which the conflict reflects deeper governance and regulatory gaps within the public transport sector, as well as economic and social impact of the disputes on commuters, including fare hikes and transport disruptions. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on this statement, details on the safeguards being established to prevent future strikes and promote peaceful coexistence between Matatu. Details on the safeguards, let me take that one, sorry. Details on the safeguards being established to prevent future strikes and promote peaceful coexistence between Matatu and border operators, steps to restore public confidence through dialogue and oversight mechanisms, and recommendations to strengthen regulation, accountability, and interagency coordination in the transport sector. My second statement, Mr. Speaker, request for statement on involvement of police officers in seizure and repossession of property from defaulting debtors and their guarantors. Mr. Speaker, sir, I rise pursuant to Standing Order 53.1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on National Security, Defense and Foreign Relations on a matter of national concern regarding involvement of police officers in seizure and repossession of property from defaulting debtors and their guarantors. In the statement, the committee should address the following: One, the current status of investigation into the occurrence of 16 and 17 January 2026, where police officers from Mosoriat Police Station in Chesumei Sub-County, Nandi County, raided homes of some residents of Mosoriat Village and seized their dairy cows on account of defaulted debt obligations. Number two, Mr. Speaker, whether the involvement of the police officers in the matter was lawful, and if not, obtain information on disciplinary actions taken against the concerned officers. Number three, Mr. Speaker, the number of similar incidents that have been reported by public to the National Police Service and Independent Policing Oversight Authority, IPOA, as well as the findings of investigations into each case. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on this statement, the measures in place to prevent misuse of authority by police officers, particularly in relation to civilian debt recovery matters, including details on the enforcement mechanisms supporting such measures. And finally, Mr. Speaker, request for a statement in the regulation of international schools in Kenya. I raise pursuant to Standing Order 53-1 to seek a statement from the Standing Committee on Education on a matter of nationwide concern regarding regulation of international schools in Kenya, with particular attention to the operation of Ecole Francaise Runda, EFR, also known as Chavda Educational Holdings Limited. Mr. Speaker, sir, while Kenya welcomes international investment in education, institutions must not operate outside the law. Ecole Francaise Runda, EFR, has been accused of serious violations that undermine the country's education system and regulatory framework, including operating from a residential property at Kikwa Farm without proper authorization, thereby exposing children to unsafe learning environments. The school is alleged to have engaged in immigration malpractice by hiring foreign nationals on tourist visa instead of valid Class D work permits, sidelining qualified Kenyan teachers, and has reportedly committed financial irregularities by deducting statutory contributions such as NSSF, Housing Levy Fund, and SHA from staff salaries without remitting them to the relevant authorities. Academically, Ecole Francaise Runda is accused of expanding into secondary education without Ministry of Education approval, falsifying student assessments, and fostering a toxic environment that has prompted the withdrawal of over 30 students. It is lack of accreditation by Agenzio pour l'Enseignement Français étranger, AEFE, questions its legitimacy as a French international school. Mr. Speaker, in the statement, the committee should address the following: whether Ecole Francaise Runda is legally authorized to operate and enforce actions being undertaken in response to each alleged violation. Number two, Mr. Speaker, measures in place to regulate international schools and prevent their operations in residential properties without proper zoning, licensing, and safety approvals. Number three, Mr. Speaker, whether teachers employed at EFR or EFR, Mr. Speaker, Ecole Francaise Runda, process valid work permits and registration with the Teacher Service Commission. Number four, Mr. Speaker, steps being taken to audit the school's financial practices, including remittance of statutory deductions to Kenya Revenue Authority, KRA, National Social Security Fund, NSSF, and the Social Health Authority, SHA. Finally, Mr. Speaker, on this statement, measures being taken to address allegation of political or diplomatic protection that may shield non-compliant institutions from accountability, and the reforms necessary to strengthen oversight of international schools, ensure compliance with the Kenyan law, protect students, parents, and teachers from this exploitation. I thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I yield back.
Thank you. Senator Zena Martian, you can now read the statement on 52-1.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. And I raise, pursuant to Standing Order 52-1, to make a statement on a matter of international and general topical concern, namely the Forum of Parliaments of Member States of the International Conference of the Great Lakes Region FP-ICGLR Electoral Observation Mission in the Republic of Uganda during the 2026 general election held on the 15th of January 2026. Mr. Speaker, sir, the Electoral Observation Mission was deployed following an invitation by the government of the Republic of Uganda through the Electoral Commission of Uganda in line with regional, continental, and international commitments on democratic governance. The mission comprised parliamentarians and experts drawn from FP-ICGLR member states, including the Republic of Kenya. The mission's mandate was to observe and assess the electoral process against the provisions of the ICGLR Pact on security, stability, and development, the Protocol on Democracy and Good Governance, the African Charter on Democracy, Elections and Governance, Uganda's Constitution, and the country's electoral laws. Mr. Speaker, sir, prior to polling day, the mission undertook a pre-election analysis which examined the political, legal, and socio-economic context of the elections. Engagements were held with key stakeholders, including the Electoral Commission, political parties, civil society organizations, faith-based organizations, the media, and other international observer missions. These engagements provided valuable insights into the state of preparedness, opportunities, and challenges surrounding the electoral process. Mr. Speaker, sir, the mission observed that the Electoral Commission of Uganda implemented its electoral roadmap largely as scheduled, including voter registration and verification exercises, civic and voter education programs, and the stakeholder consultations. The use of biometric voter verification technology implemented by facial identification features was noted as a positive step towards enhancing electoral integrity. Mr. Speaker, sir, the campaign environment was generally calm compared to previous electoral cycles, though concerns were raised by stakeholders regarding unequal campaign conditions among political players, the absence of comprehensive campaign finance regulation, misuse of state resources, and the role of security agencies in political parties. The prevalence of misinformation, disinformation, and hate speech, particularly on digital platforms, was also highlighted. Mr. Speaker, sir, on polling day, observers were deployed to various polling stations, particularly within Kampala City. The mission observed the opening, voting, closing, and counting processes. While most polling stations experienced delayed opening due to logistical and technical challenges, including malfunctioning biometric kits, voting proceeded in a peaceful, orderly, and transparent manner. Polling officials generally demonstrated adequate knowledge of procedures, and the secrecy of the ballot was respected. The presence of security personnel at polling stations contributed to overall order, though in some instances, their proximity to voting areas was perceived as potentially intimidating. Political party agents were present in most polling stations observed, and counting and tallying at polling stations were conducted in accordance with established procedures, with results verified and signed by party agents. Mr. Speaker, sir, the mission noted the active participation of women, youth, and persons with disabilities as voters and elections officials. However, it also observed structural challenges limiting their full participation as candidates, particularly the absence of women presidential candidates, underscoring the need for continued reforms to promote inclusivity and gender equality. The mission emphasized that elections are not a single-day event, but a process. Accordingly, the credibility of the 2026 general elections in Uganda rests not only on polling day, but also on the broader legal, political, and institutional environment. The mission encouraged all stakeholders to utilize established legal mechanisms for dispute resolution, and to uphold peace, tolerance, and respect for the rule of law. Mr. Speaker, sir, as a region, our democracies are interlinked, and the stability and credibility of elections in one member state have implications for peace, security, and development across the region. I wish to commend the people and the government of the Republic of Uganda for their cooperation and hospitality, and to reaffirm Kenya's commitment to regional democratic norms, peaceful elections, and parliamentary diplomacies. I thank you.
Honorable Senators, I want to open 20 minutes to give comments on statements, starting with Senator Sige Christo Kege. Give Senator Christo Sige the mic.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Speaker, for giving me the opportunity to just contribute on the statements that have been laid today. I wanted to contribute on the statement given, the first one, about on borders and matatus and the conflict that arose after protests. Mr. Speaker, how I do wish that Senator Cherargei would have been as sensible as he was in putting this as a statement rather than just an arbitrary comment in yesterday's sitting, like he did for the Kitengela rally. It's much more responsible to do it this way, Senator Cherargei, and I hope that you continue to follow the rules of the House instead of casting aspersions on your fellow colleagues without substantive evidence that you wish to table into the House. However, Chair, now that he has brought something in the proper format of a statement, I would like to support it. Speaker, there is no reason for any public service vehicles, including matatus or border borders, to cause any kind of violence, Speaker, through protests or through disagreements in the public domain, Mr. Speaker. It's something that I believe my committee where I sit, which is the Committee of Roads, Transport and Housing, where the statement has been committed to, that we will investigate and get to the bottom of, and I hope that Senator Cherargei will be with us in all of those committee meetings so that he can hear and he can engage with the stakeholders that we will call to speak on this matter. And once again, Speaker, as I close, I just beseech every senator in this House to not make staggering allegations against one another and instead bring it as a substantive statement or a motion to this House so that you are not accused by us or any members of the public as to being biased in any which direction. I thank you.
Honorable Senators, because of the constraint of time, and I can see many senators want to give comments, maybe you can take 2 minutes only. Senator Sige, you did so well within 2 minutes. Senator Abbas Sheikh Mohammed.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I also want to contribute to Honorable Shigei's statement. Honorable Speaker, the issue of border and matatu issues have really become now a problem. That the border actually is actually very vibrant industry, contribute to the economy, but however, the riders' behaviors has become now wanting and intimidating everybody in the road. The way the matatu guy, the border guys behave is actually so scaring that most of the drivers, especially in Nairobi, cannot be able to drive comfortably and conveniently because they come from every corner on the road and they don't even obey the Honorable Speaker, and once then they come from every side, they don't keep to lines, they don't keep anything to rules, and once you have an accident with them, then you lose your vehicle. They ban all the vehicles, and they ban even the big, matatus and those things, and I think that is bad behaviors, and it's a high time that the police should put this in traffic, and the Minister of Transport should come with an order and a kind of regulation that can be able to regulate the matatus, the border borders. Honorable Speaker, there should be a penalty, a heavy penalty for the act of these border guys. Otherwise, as it is, I think their behaviors now becoming like, they're behaving like goons. They come in large number, like converging in one place, and then they intimidate and they harass you. They even hit the vehicles, and that kind of behavior, I think, cannot be maintained honestly. And we need, I think, to have some order in this place. Two, I want also to contribute on the regulations of the schools, especially the national schools, I don't know, or international schools. But generally, what is happening today in Kenya today, especially in Nairobi, there are too many schools that are coming up. Formal sectors. That also, actually, schools where they have been established at times, you can see high-rise buildings having schools where even the learners are at risk. And I think we need to have a better regulation for schools. Honorable Speaker, you see classes being made in very funny places. There is no place for students to play. The children
Senator Ogingo Buru, you want to make a comment on the statements? If not, then we go to Senator Ogora Beatrice Akin.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, it is so symbolic and it's not out of the ordinary that I should speak after you call the name of the party leader. Honorable Speaker, thank you for the chance. I would like to support the statement by the Senator of Samburu on maternal deaths in Samburu County. Honorable Speaker, it is unfortunate that women have to die in this century in the process of giving birth. The question we ask ourselves is why delivery remains a punishment in this country. Honorable Speaker, the Senator spelled out inadequate personnel as a major cause, lack of infrastructure, and I want to support and say that every woman has a right to access in a timely manner maternal services which must be availed, and Honorable Speaker, the services must be in good quality so that the services that mothers get are efficient and effectiveness. Secondly, Honorable Speaker, I want to support the statement by Senator Cherargei on the issue of international schools in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, as this committee looks at this statement, they must go further also to examine the social interactions that are in these schools, the ethical issues that keep on coming vis-a-vis the national values that we have in this constitution. And Honorable Speaker, the curriculums of these schools, although they are international schools, must also be supervised and verified by KICD because, Honorable Speaker, the children, pupils and students that...
Senator Mugatana.
Speaker, many years ago, there was a belief that you could not control the matatu industry because they had become so disorderly. And in those days, Mr. Speaker, we used to have Kenya Bus Services Limited. Mr. Speaker, the matatus then came, and everybody believed there's nothing that could be done. But there came a minister, the old mzee called Michuki, and matatus got into order. Mr. Speaker, this incident of violence that was visited upon the matatus by the borders, it shows that there is a culture of bad behavior amongst the border operators. And Mr. Speaker, We need to do something to change that culture. It can be done. We were in Uganda in December, and we saw in that place that the borders are much more disciplined than the ones in Kenya. We were in Kigali, and they are much more disciplined. So, Mr. Speaker, in order for this culture of violence against matatus or against other motorists taking root, I am calling upon the committee to call the minister who is in charge of transport to come and recall what the government has done in the past to create proper order so that the same or better measures can be made to secure motorists and bring a good culture amongst the border. I support, Mr. Speaker. Thank you.
Deputy Minority Leader, Senator Enoch.
Mr. Speaker, I stand to make a comment. The statement by Senator of Tharaka-Nithi, and just be very brief and say, yes, I agree with him that when people along a riverbed are able to utilize the water resource, they shouldn't compromise the ability of other people living downstream to utilize the same resource. So the need for management of that resource in the rivers of our neighbors, in Tharaka-Nithi, River Ura, and River Tanganyika. The Speaker, having made that comment, the Speaker, I would want you to guide me, and guide me properly. When the Speaker of a House declares that a senator is yelling and making noise, and that the senator should be moved from where they sit to another place, what is that senator supposed to do? What is the recourse of that senator? The Speaker, I did not choose to sit here. Those who chose that I should sit here can make a decision for me to sit outside if they can make that decision. The Speaker, will he allow you even to inform me? The Speaker, let us not degrade the stature of this House, because that's what we are doing. We are elected leaders to represent our people. We have a right to represent our people by speaking on the floor of this House, Mr. Speaker. And for this, Mr. Speaker,
Senator Murango, Senator Milaj. Senator Wakiri Ilale, Kiplotich.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I come in peace. I listened to the tone of Senator Enoch Wambua, and I'm looking at the faces of Senator Nyutu. Mr. Speaker, I believe I was the next in terms of the people who are to be given the permission to speak, and so I come in peace. I wanted to comment on the statement by Senator Cherargei about the international schools operating within the country. I believe, Mr. Speaker, prior to any person, whether it is a local or international institution is permitted to operate, there are certain requirements that the law would expect them to have complied with prior to them getting the permit, prior to them getting the license, both in terms of the infrastructure arrangement that they have or even the curriculum that they offer. To the extent that we have institutions like the one Senator Cherargei has referred to, operating in a private farm without proper licenses is in itself a failure on the part of the government institutions that are supposed to be the ones to oversee such licensing and related permits to those institutions. The question about the admission to students and the question about the teachers who are operating or employed by that institution, including even the deductions on their salaries which are not remitted, is a conversation we had yesterday and earlier on today in the morning on the issues affecting the petition of former employees whose claim was a subject of a petition before this House. Mr. Speaker,
sorry, we have only 2 minutes because we are closing on the statement time. Senator Daniel Manzo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I would like to make a point of supporting Senator Gataya's statement, which mainly deals with the part of Eastern and even Northeastern, which are very dry, Mr. Speaker, and currently are experiencing drought. Mr. Speaker, part of what Honorable Gataya said is that you know, the government should be ready in good time so that we can be, we know the weather forecast and we prepare for drought. And more important, where there are proposed dams, do them so that we give our people water. Mr. Speaker, people have witnessed the deaths in northern Kenya, how animals have died, the desperation with the people, and this is catching up in the eastern part of Kenya. And therefore, the country and the minister in charge of this should really move with the speed and make sure no Kenyans or animals starve to death because we have enough food, you know, we have enough grass in the country, we've got enough, we can harness enough water in the country when it rains. The same areas, Mr. Speaker, flood as soon as the rains come. If only we can conserve this water and make measures which are long-lasting to make sure no communities in the country suffer when a drought comes by, Mr. Speaker, and then the resources become scarce. They fight about the little water which is in the rivers, Mr. Speaker. This is something which can be sorted out by early preparations, and I really want to challenge the minister in charge, and when this statement is being sought, should come here ready to tell us what has happened, because we have money for emergency which is budgeted. We have money for emergency in the counties. We have, we should be prepared enough as a country to make sure nobody starves to death or no animals die. Because we have other parts of the country with plenty, Mr. Speaker, with enough grass, with enough water. The country...
Senator John Yutu.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, for this opportunity. I want to comment on the statement made by Senator Cheralgei of Nandi County, Mr. Speaker, regarding international schools. Mr. Speaker, any educational institution operating in this country must have the approval of the Ministry of Education. And Mr. Speaker, the issues that Senator Cheralgei has raised are serious. Because, Mr. Speaker, we cannot have any operation in this country where statutory deductions are not remitted to the relevant authorities, Mr. Speaker, because this will be violating the rights of those working in such institutions. Mr. Speaker, the issue of bypassing Kenyan trained teachers in favor of foreigners is something that should be taken very seriously, especially because we have serious problems with unemployment in this country, Mr. Speaker. But most importantly, to talk about is these operations that happen illegally. While we have in every county, every sub-county, and in fact, almost in every other educational zone, we have officers from the Ministry of Education. These are people sleeping on the job. And that is why we have had some reports, Mr. Speaker, of schools that are non-existent, but that are drawing capitation from the national government. Because there are officers on the ground who are sleeping on their job. Mr. Speaker, as the Committee on Education looks at this matter, they should put to task the officers on the ground because they are sleeping on the job. we should not have such operations, Mr. Speaker, and least, most importantly.
Senator Osotsi, Godfrey.
Give me the mic. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, let me quickly support the statement by Senator Cherargei on the involvement of police in repossession arising from defaulting debtors and guarantors. Mr. Speaker, how I wish this statement could be expanded so that we look at the general involvement of police in illegal operations, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the police have been involved in many illegal operations which are not within the law and which are largely criminal in nature, Mr. Speaker. If we have a police force that is readily available to be used for dirty operation, Mr. Speaker, then this country will be headed to the dogs. We know this is what used to happen in Haiti, Mr. Speaker. Haiti is what it is today because the police force was misused, Mr. Speaker, to conduct operations which are illegal. Mr. Speaker, having said that, I think as we said that, and Senator Cherargei could not substantiate, over the weekend in Kitengela, Mr. Speaker, I witnessed the police force commanding the goons to destroy the PA equipment, public address equipment for our team. And the police were watching and did not do anything. The same police, Mr. Speaker, they went ahead and threw a tear gas to a crowd that was largely calm and peaceful. We know they are planning to do the same in Kakamega, Mr. Speaker. We are a people of peace.
Senator Murango James.
Asante sana Mr. Speaker. Ningependa kuchangia taarifa ambayo imeletwa na Senator Kakataya. Mr. Speaker, ni vizuri kujua kwamba tunapopata rasilimali inafaa itumike kwa watu wote ambao wanahusika. Na hivyo ni vizuri wakati tunatumia mito yetu tuhakikisha kwamba walio chini pia wanaweza kufaidika. Lakini pia Mr. Speaker, unapata taasisi za kiserikali ambazo zinahusika katika kuhakikisha kwamba maji yanafika mahali yanafaa kufika. Wamelala. Na nilishangaa sana juzi kupata kwamba taasisi ya Waruma kuliko kuhakikisha kama Kachuu katika kaskazini mwa nchi kuhakikisha kwamba watu wana maji, wanaongeza nyongeza ya malipo ya maji. Mr. Speaker, moja wapo ni kwamba leseni ambao wananchi walikuwa wanalipa 7,500 saa hii ni kati ya shilingi 180,000 kwenda mpaka hadi ya nusu milioni, Mr. Speaker, ambayo wananchi hawezi kumundu. Mr. Speaker, jambo la pili ni kwamba wanatumia kanuni ambazo zinapitishwa na Bunge visivyo. Kama sasa wanatumia kanuni kuhusu huduma za maji nambari 54, kanuni kuhusu uvunaji wa maji kanuni nambari 58 na kanuni kuhusu rasilimali za maji. Wanachukua hizo zote pamoja, wanakusanya kutumia kuongeza anda ya maji kwa watu ambao wakulima na wenye wanatumia maji. Leo hii wakati wananchi wa kaskazini mwa nchi hawana maji, ndio wameleta kusema malipo hata kupatia ngamia na mbuzi maji. Sasa wanafaa wao wanalipa. Miradi inayofanywa na shirika ambazo sio za serikali kuwezesha jamii kuishi na kuweza kuendelea mbele kama Floka, bado wanaweka vipimo na wanaweka mita kuweza kupimia watu maji. Mr. Speaker, hiyo ni vimbaya na taasisi kama zile kama ziwezi fanya kazi, inafaa bazivunjiriwe mbali.
Honorable Senators, the time that had been allocated to comments on the statements by the Speaker was 20 minutes. I've just been notified that we have run out of that time. I will extend the time for another 5 minutes to allow 3 members to comment. So let's work within the 3 minutes that the 5 minutes that I'll add for us to conclude. And I've got quite a lot of members in my dashboard. Senator Lelengwe is not in, Miraj is not in, Senator Sifuna. Senator Sifuna.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. I can see the spirit of Lent and Ramadan is catching up with you. You're being very nice. And we want to wish all the Muslim brothers and my Catholic brethren happy Ramadan and a successful Lent. Honorable Speaker, I want to comment on the statement by Senator Murango, who, as everybody knows, is my standing advisor on matters of cash crops in this country. Honorable Speaker, he has presented a statement here that has quite shocked me about what is happening in this country. If you go to the data, Kirinyaga County is one of the counties that ranks highest amongst the coffee producers in this country. If you look at the amount or number of cooperative societies that are in that county and the debts that they are holding on their books, one would expect that because this commodities fund was set up precisely to provide cheap access to credit or access to cheap credit, then you would expect that Murang'a County would be on that list. How is it possible, Senator Murango, that when they are disbursing these funds, a county that has those credentials can miss out? Speaker, I was going through the data that he shared, that a county like Embu, which is not even in the top 5, got almost 171 million shillings in one cooperative alone and 59 million in another, and it's not even in the top 5. When you compare to a county like Bungoma, they got 6 million in one cooperative, 2 million in another, and 1 million in another. Honorable Speaker, we really need to be told what really is the criteria in this country for the distribution of resources. Where is the fairness? Where is the objectivity in the distribution of these resources? Because it just doesn't make any sense. We don't grow any coffee here in Nairobi. So I want this committee to provide these answers to me so that I can understand what really is going on in the distribution of resources in this country. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Now, that should be the spirit of timekeeping and mindful of your colleagues. Senator Veronica Maina.
Honorable Speaker, thank you for the opportunity. I rise to support the statement brought to the floor of this House by Senator Chiradige on the regulation of international schools in Kenya. Honorable Speaker, it is very sad to note that a school of this level and of this cadre can be operating from a residential area when we have a robust Ministry of Education and very competent staff who are able to accredit, to license, to authorize schools to operate in the Republic of Kenya. Honorable Speaker, this can turn out to be a very serious financial scam because when it comes in the name of an international institution that is supposed to be rolling out a curriculum, Honorable Speaker, you know the kind of school fees they will be charging to the students. And then, Honorable Speaker, it is done so unprofessionally and so unethically that even the statutory deductions for the workers are not remitted to the relevant authorities. I would urge the committee to take this matter very seriously and in a few days to give a report to this House that they have visited the premises in Runda to ensure that this is actually not happening. Because why would a school of international repute even position itself within Runda, the leafy suburbs of Nairobi, the leafy suburbs of the Republic of Kenya? That is very hideous, that is very wrong, Honorable Speaker, and the Minister for Education needs to account on what this institution is doing in Kenya and how safe are those children. Are we not going to then have an issue with those children being exposed to other targets, being targets for different interests, Honorable Speaker, beyond education? Honorable Speaker, we hope the committee will deal with this matter with the urgency that it deserves.
Senator Olekina.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Quite briefly, let me comment on two statements. One is on the coffee by the distinguished senator from Morango. Commodity fund, where was it established? It was established to provide credit to farmers. I'm concerned about this issue of loans, and this is about time that we need to teach our farmers. I take a completely unorthodox approach to this matter. Teach our farmers to take insurance policies so that we do not overburden the country. Now, on the issue of discrimination, that is a matter that I want to request the Committee on Agriculture to look into those figures provided by our colleague, that other cooperatives have been treated fairly, others have been treated unfairly, so that we can bring a balance. Secondly, Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the international school, my view is completely unorthodox. There is no law in this country that designate areas where schools should be established. I have looked at this school. This is an international school. What concerns me is the allegations that teachers who are teaching in that school do not have immigration papers. That is a concern to me. Number two, the concern to me, which is an allegation up to this level, is that there are statutory deductions that are not being remitted. The only way for us to be able to find the truth is by the Committee on Education investigating those allegations. Whether or not the school is legal, my concern also, there is an allegation that has been raised out here by the distinguished senator that because of the way the students are being treated, 30 students left the school. Was it by choice, or are we just raising statements that are not factual? So my concern is this. Is this factual or an allegation? Are these statutory? Has anyone gone to court to say that my statutory deductions have been deducted and they have not been remitted? Let us not crucify every international attempt to uplift education in this country. The French school does not subscribe to the Kenyan system of education. You have a choice. Take your child to that school, let that child go through the French, see whether it is accredited, but let us not crucify everyone. I'm not holding brief for that school, but I'm just being cautious that we need to be factual in our findings in this Senate. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Senator, Senior Counsel Kongo Mogeni.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the statement on disputes between Matatu and Boda Boda. But while on it also, Mr. Speaker, I want to caution my good friend, Senator Cheragei, who is a colleague in the profession, that it's never wise to make unsubstantiated claims against your colleagues. And despite any differences, Mr. Speaker, that we may have in this House, Mr. Speaker, I can never rise to crack jokes or to show that I'm making very uncaring statements, Mr. Speaker, when a Kenyan has lost her life. Mr. Speaker, in the rally that took place over the weekend in Kitengela, Senator Cheragei, a mother lost a son. A mother lost her son because the Kenyan police, Mr. Speaker, did not respect human life. So when we come to this House, Mr. Speaker, what we should hear is Senator Cheragei empathizing with that family. But you can't come here trying to belittle when Kenyans are enjoying their rights, and you are a lawyer for that matter, Mr. Speaker. So, Mr. Speaker, as a country that has fought very hard, and I'm happy that this afternoon in this House, we have the son who is behind me here, leader of minority. We have the son of Jaramogi Oginga Odinga, who fought very hard for us to have a free country. He fought for us to have a country where human rights are respected, Mr. Speaker. So when even if you are doing a rally in Kapsabet, I don't want to see the police disrupting or tear-gassing innocent citizens who have gathered to enjoy their rights, Mr. Speaker. We are in a democratic country. People shed blood for us to get this new constitution, Mr. Speaker. So as leaders, Mr. Speaker, we must be here.
Senator Cheragei, I'll give you the mic to comment, but whenever the Speaker has not given you the attention, he is listening and he can see. If he's not got your eye, he didn't get your eye. But now you can speak to the statements, and I want you to confine yourself under the rule of relevance. Thank you very much.
Mr. Speaker, understanding order number one, you should also exercise your discretion by protecting members. Because when a matter has been ruled on, is a res judicata matter, is it a stop from discussion? So I thought senior counsel would be better placed to know when a matter is rested, is rested. So Speaker, let me comment, because I'm more wiser than him, by just on a point of relevance. Speaker, the issue of water crisis in this country is a big problem. You remember one of the agendas of President William Ruto is to ensure access to water. You know, you have a project in Posta Dam in Bomet. Mr. Speaker, you have a dam called Posta Water Project. There is Itare Water Project, Mr. Speaker. It is very unfortunate. The water crisis in this city. Mr. Speaker, water access and quality and safe should be accessible to every Kenyan. Here in Nairobi, there is rationing of water, Mr. Speaker. Water should be free, and yesterday I said water should be affordable to each and every Kenyan, Mr. Speaker. Yesterday I saw Uasin Gishu County government, Mr. Speaker, issue what we call diarrhea alert within the city of Eldoret, Mr. Speaker. You know, Eldoret Water and Sanitation Company serves Elgeyo Marakwet, Nandi County, and Uasin Gishu County, Mr. Speaker. When the county government of Uasin Gishu, through the governor, decided to hike the water prices, Mr. Speaker, the people of Uasin Gishu decided to purchase water from water vendors, and most of those water is not safe, and that is why the cases of diarrhea is increasing in Eldoret, in Uasin Gishu, Eldoret City, Mr. Speaker. So the governor of Eldoret and its county government were very insensitive when they hike water prices, Mr. Speaker, and it is very unfortunate, Mr. Speaker. Whenever you see, Mr. Speaker, some of these challenges in water, it needs to be addressed once and for all. Mr. Speaker, I support.
Thank you. I wish the kind of discipline we have experienced in the last 10 minutes will continue in the House. We will transact a lot of serious businesses. Senator Marzayo, the floor is yours. I will similarly guide.
You'll give me.
Before you speak, Senator Marzayo,
you'll give me one extra
the content of your contribution.
Asante Bwana Spika. Bwana Spika, nataka kuongea juu ya Nyongoro, ile inaitwa Nyongoro Ranch ambayo iko katika Lamu. Bwana Spika, tunaona ya kwamba juzi tu Jumanne wiki iliyokwisha ng'ombe karibu 50 wameuawa. Bwana Spika, tunaona ya kwamba shamba hilo katika miaka 20 iliyokwisha title lilitolewa na wenyewe wanajulikana ni kina nani. Lakini mara tu wenyewe wakitaka kuingia kwa hiyo shamba wanaambiwa wasiingie, ama kunakuwa na vita, na vile vile kunakuwa na upotofu wa wanyama kama hao mbuzi, kondoo na ng'ombe. Bwana Spika, ingekuwa ni lazima kuona ya kwamba wenye hiyo shamba wenyewe wameregeshewa na wale walioko hapo wafurushwe, na itakuwa ni mambo ya sheria. Bwana Spika, tunaona uzito wa kwamba kila mara wakienda huko ama wakipeleka wanyama wao wanawekewa sumu na wanakufa. Bwana Spika, jambo kama hili kwa wakati huu katika taifa letu la Kenya halionekani kama jambo jema. Kwa hiyo Bwana Spika, mimi naona ya kwamba serikali ingechukua hatua kuingilia kati kuona ya kwamba wenye hiyo ardhi wameregeshewa shamba lao. Asante Bwana Spika.
Lastly, Senator Miraj, before I allow you to speak, because you've just made the request, Senator Oginga Oburu has been on the waiting list. If you wish to comment, the floor is yours, Senator.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker, sir. Mr. Speaker, sir, I want to first of all say that I did not like what happened last weekend in Ketengela when there were people who were tear gassed in a peaceful rally, and I hope the police will investigate it thoroughly and the culprits will be punished accordingly, because, Mr. Speaker, we are in the implementation of the 10-point agenda, and now that notwithstanding, Mr. Speaker, I want to comment on the fish dying, by the statement by Honorable Agenda on the fish dying in Lake Victoria. Mr. Speaker, this is a notorious thing of greed. There are very, very greedy people
who normally use poison to catch fish instead of using nets. And this is what is affecting the fish cages, which should be producing fish much more efficiently than fishing in the lake. And Mr. Speaker, I hope that this matter is going to be dealt with by the security of the lake and increasing the security surveillance in the lake so that these greedy fishermen don't continue to use poison and kill our people also, because the fish which is poisoned and is sold in the market passes on that poison to the people who consume it. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Buru. Finally, Senator Miraj.
Asante Bwana Spika kwa fursa hii na mimi niweze kuchangia katika hoja ya maombi ya Seneta Lelegwe kutoka kule Samburu kuhusiana na ongezeko la vifo vya mapema vya watoto, maternal health. Kwa hakika Bwana Spika, tatizo hili limekuwa donda sugu katika taifa letu na hata kimataifa. Nikiangalia takwimu za Umoja wa Kimataifa likionyesha takwimu ya kwamba vifo vya watoto ambao hawajazaliwa wanazaliwa wakiwa marehemu vimeongezeka kwa 300% ulimwenguni. Na sababu ambazo zimeweza kutolewa hapa na seneta wa Samburu ni kwamba kuna utepetevu katika afya ya mama mjamzito na haswa ya kisaikolojia. Ningependa kutoa changizo langu ya kwamba magavana ambao wako katika taifa letu la Kenya na viongozi sote tuko na jukumu sio la kisheria peke yake, bali la utu na ubinadamu, kuona ya kwamba tunaweza kuungana na kuwa na sauti moja, kuona ya kwamba mama ambaye amebeba mtoto wake miezi 9 anaweza kumzaa mtoto huyo salama. Pia niongeze changizo langu katika hoja ya maombi ya Senator Shakila kutoka kule Lamu kuhusiana na yale maafa ya ng'ombe 20 ambao wameweza kuuawa kwa sababu ya vita baina ya wafugaji na wakulima. Ningependa ombi langu limfikie waziri wa usalama wa ndani. Hala. Maana visa hivi vitaongezeka wakati siasa imepamba moto. Na badala ya ng'ombe 50 kufa, tutaona maisha ya watu wakipotea. Ningependa kuona waziri amefika katika maeneo hayo na kuweza kuleta suluhu. Hata machifu na DCCs wote wapo na uwezo wa kuzungumza.
Senator Miraj, your time is up. So, honorable senators, the time which we have graciously extended for purposes of comments on statements has now ended, and we will progress from the order paper. Clerk, you may now call the next order.
Order number 8, the National Council for Population and Development Bill, National Assembly Bills number 72 of 2023, second reading, resumption of debate, interrupted on Wednesday, 11th February 2026. Mover to reply.
Honorable senators, order number 8, we are expecting the leader of majority to reply in this one. He is not present in the chamber. That particular order is, business is hereby deferred to the next session. Similarly, we will defer order number 9, motion consideration on the report of the mediation committee on the coffee bill. We will also defer order number 10 in the order paper for today. And for purposes of progressing with the business of the House, I will rearrange the order paper, and I will direct that order number 20 be called out. Clerk.
Order number 20, the Electronic Equipment Disposal, Recycling and Reuse Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2025, second reading.
Senator Paris Tobiko. Give Senator Tobiko the mic. Senator, you're on. You may now proceed.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I beg to move that the Electronic Equipment Disposal, Recycling and Reuse Bill 2025 be read a second time. Mr. Speaker, let me take this opportunity to speak about the Electronic Management Bill. Mr. Speaker, Kenya generates an average of 3,000 tons of e-waste annually, Mr. Speaker, mixed with ordinary waste. According to the World Health Organization, Mr. Speaker, e-waste is considered a hazardous waste, a threat to the environment and to human health, Mr. Speaker, if not treated, disposed, and recycled appropriately. The release of thousands of chemicals, Mr. Speaker, which are harmful neurotoxicants, e.g. lead, dioxins, and mercury, Mr. Speaker, are all injurious to human life, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill, if passed, Mr. Speaker, will give a legal instrument to provide for safe, regulated handling and disposal of e-waste, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the bill will provide for a framework for an environmentally sustainable disposal, recycling and reuse of e-waste. It will also establish a national e-waste recycling plant. And Mr. Speaker, it will also establish e-waste sorting sites, consolidation sites for connected purposes, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to provide for a sustainable environment, compliant mechanisms for disposal, recycling and reuse of electronic equipments, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, if you even go to the households, Mr. Speaker, and imagine how many laptops, how many handsets, mobile handsets that we are keeping in our houses, Mr. Speaker, that needs to be disposed, how many medical equipments in our hospitals that need disposal and proper management of that kind of disposal, Mr. Speaker, you realize that this bill is long overdue and is required, Mr. Speaker, as we get into the management of life, not just waste, but basically we have gone e-technology in the management of everything, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this is therefore why the e-waste management bill is timely, Mr. Speaker, and needs to be adopted in our country so that we move with the rest of the world in managing and recycling our e-waste, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks to improve the health of all Kenyans by proper collection and disposal of e-waste. It will also, Mr. Speaker, address creation of employment in the green economy in e-waste management. Mr. Speaker, it will address zero waste principle in e-waste as a resource to be harnessed for wealth creation and reduction of pollution, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the national government will have its role to develop policy on e-waste management in consultation with the county governments, the Council of Governors, Mr. Speaker. The national government will classify e-waste. It will also ensure adherence to international obligations in regards to e-waste management. The national government will develop standards and guidelines on health measures. It will conduct periodic reviews, Mr. Speaker, and monitor the whole of e-waste value chain, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, this bill seeks a proper management of a potentially multi-billion economy in relation to e-waste, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the national government will do the licensing of the national e-waste recycling plants and conduct an e-waste education and public awareness, Mr. Speaker. The county governments, Mr. Speaker, will establish e-waste sorting sites, including a buffer zone, Mr. Speaker. There will be, or the bill seeks to establish ward consolidation sites, and license, the county governments will do licensing at the county level, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the counties will establish and enact county-specific legislation setting out the framework for e-waste management in their specific counties, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the counties the concerns of the county governments as provided in Article 110 of the Constitution, 110, Article 1, in the disposal and recycling of solid waste, because e-waste is a form of solid waste, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, it also addresses Part 2 of Schedule 4 for county governments to provide for county health services, including refuse removal, management of dump sites, and solid waste disposal. Mr. Speaker, this bill will address the whole value chain of the e-waste management, Mr. Speaker. At the moment, Mr. Speaker, such legislation, we have gaps that are experienced, Mr. Speaker, and it is time that we bring to life a proper management of our e-waste industry, Mr. Speaker, because it is a huge industry, not yet managed, not yet properly, without a legal framework for operation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the Cabinet Secretary will have a role to play, Mr. Speaker. They will determine and impose on levy rates, charges, dues or fees for any services performed under this Act. They will advise on the management, control, and administer assets in such manner and for such purposes as best to promote the purposes of this act. Mr. Speaker, the relevant CC in the county will advise the governor on the management of the e-waste and on the various policies that are required at the county level, Mr. Speaker. There will be collection, transportation, and recycling of e-waste, Mr. Speaker, and licensing and laws governing persons who will generate e-waste in Kenya, designated at ward consolidation sites. And there will be laws, Mr. Speaker, to govern the licensing of such persons or companies. Mr. Speaker, there will also be penalties that will be imposed on non-adherence, Mr. Speaker, to this law. Mr. Speaker, this law is timely, and I urge members of the House, Mr. Speaker, to support this bill because, Mr. Speaker, it will revolutionize our management of e-waste, recycling of the same, and, Mr. Speaker, even the benefits that will accrue from the e-waste industry, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I move, and I request Senator Mungatana to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Thank you, Senator Tobiko. Senator Mungatana.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Okay, fine.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to second the Electronic Equipment Disposal, Recycling and Reuse Bill 2025. Mr. Speaker, may I take this opportunity first and foremost to congratulate the Honorable Peris Tobiko for coming up with this idea and for making it possible for this bill to land at the Senate. Mr. Speaker, I really admire the way this bill has been set. It has taken care of virtually everything that we require for us to manage electronic waste properly. What is electronic waste, Mr. Speaker? Mr. Speaker, when we use our phones in Tana River, or we are using our fridge or our television sets, when we are listening to our radios, Mr. Speaker, and they grow old and we need to dispose of them, where do we take them, Mr. Speaker? Most of our people, they just dump them on the dump site. Or if it's your phone, you take it outside. If it has broken and you can't fix it, you even leave it with the people who repair phones. Mr. Speaker, this is repeated in every county of Kenya. And Mr. Speaker, what does it leave? There are dangerous elements that are used for the construction of this equipment, Mr. Speaker. Lead is one of them. Mr. Speaker, lead is a dangerous heavy metal that can damage the nervous system. Mercury, Mr. Speaker, is known to affect kidneys. Mr. Speaker, there are many heavy metals that are utilized in the manufacture of these gadgets. And that's why they are considered hazardous wastes. Mr. Speaker, when it rains, these heavy metals from these equipments that are being carelessly thrown at the dump sites, they sink into the soil. They will affect our rivers, Mr. Speaker. They will affect our lakes. They will affect our water system. They will seep into the groundwater, Mr. Speaker. This bill is relevant to Tana River County as much as it is relevant to Kajiado, where the Honorable Pelis Tobiko is coming from, and for the rest of this country, Mr. Speaker. And recently, Mr. Speaker, I was part of the delegation that went to China on the invitation of the Communist Party of China. This is the UDA. We were part of that delegation. And Mr. Speaker, we learned a lot. And one of the places we went, we saw these huge robots that are capable of performing a lot of activities. So, Mr. Speaker, now we have moved away from these small gadgets, television and what, into huge robots. Now, this technology is going to come to Kenya, Mr. Speaker. Where are we going to dump the electronic waste once it is past its usable time? And that's why, Mr. Speaker, I think this bill is coming at the correct time. Mr. Speaker, when you look at our culture, many places there is no distinction between biodegradable waste and the normal and these hazardous wastes. In fact, the nearest place that, Mr. Speaker, you can think of distinguishing the waste is only when you have the waste from hospitals. That's when they try to make good arrangements for disposal. But even that is not really followed in many places in our counties. Mr. Speaker, this e-waste affects the climate, and it's part of the problems that we are dealing with in climate change. So we need these electronic gadgets, but we must find a way to make sure that when we are disposing of them, we dispose of this electronic waste in a way that it will not harm our people in Kenya, our people in Tana River County. Mr. Speaker, the law we are proposing before this House today, it will say that the governor and the CEC in charge of environment, they must create a place, a gazetted place, where e-waste will be properly disposed. It will create laws, regulations, and rules that will tell those who collect garbage to separate e-waste from the normal biodegradable waste, so that governors across the counties will now be forced to have regulations and to have systems of garbage collection that will separate e-waste from the normal biodegradable waste that doesn't harm the environment, like I have demonstrated for e-waste. And Mr. Speaker, this law is critical because the world we are going into now, we are going to live in an AI world. Mr. Speaker, our children, very soon you'll have to identify yourself saying, I am a normal person, I'm a real person, I'm not a robot, I'm not a bot. It's already happening, even when you are doing your work in the internet. It keeps on asking you whether you are a bot or a real human. Our children, our grandchildren, are going to live in a world where there are people who look like real. I saw it, Mr. Speaker. People who look like real. They talk to you. In fact, they keep you company. They are already being used to keep company old people in homes. They are being used to give them service when they are sick. So these gadgets, when they grow old, Mr. Speaker, when they are not usable or new technology has come, what do we do? This is why we require this law. This is why we require these regulations. And Mr. Speaker, this is a very good law that we are proposing before the Senate. I am urging members who will stand to speak to this law to support it and to add what they think needs to be added. But what the Honorable Peris Tobiko has done is revolutionary, and it is keeping with the times, Mr. Speaker. We need laws like this so that we can tackle the new realities we are living with in the new world that is with us now, where you go to restaurants and you are served by a robot, where you go into a hotel room, you ask for service, and you are served by a robot. What happens to these robots when they grow old, when they malfunction, when they are past usability? Mr. Speaker, this law is very, very timely. And some of the proposed clauses here, they speak to requirements for licensing. They speak to requirements for standards. We don't want people to buy electronics that will last for 1 month, 2 months, and then you have to throw it away to buy another. We have to have a regulatory system that will allow for longer lasting equipment so that we don't have too much degradation of the environment. We want to have a system where those who are producing these equipments, they are given extended producer responsibilities, so that as they are producing these things, they are given the responsibility also to teach the consumers how to keep and manage this waste once it becomes waste. Mr. Speaker, we also need import controls. Let's not buy cheap electronics let's not allow what has been discarded in the European market, in the Chinese market, in the American market. Let us not have these things come into this country cheaply. Let us avoid situations where we shall be dumping cheap electronics into our country. And this law sets the pace, sets the beginning. It starts asking us those hard questions. How shall we recycle? How shall we reuse? Instead of buying a new gadget, why not fix the one that you have? Instead of falling for marketing gimmicks, oh, this is the latest iPhone, this is the latest Android, while your phone is still working, why buy a new one, Mr. Speaker? We have to create the culture also. And this law, Mr. Speaker, seems to be speaking to the issues that will help us. Part 3, in particular, talks about the collection, transportation, and recycling of e-waste. Mr. Speaker, in most of these countries where the awareness is high, you will find that a dustbin will have the side for biodegradable waste and the side that is not having biodegradable waste like plastics and this kind of stuff. Governors, the national government will have to set regulations under this law that will separate and help collection of e-waste so that it can be placed in a proper place. governors will have to designate and gazette a place where e-waste can be put so that it is properly disposed. Mr. Speaker, recently we were looking at the law and the whole question of production sharing contracts in Turkana. Now, this Turkana oil, we came to discover, Mr. Speaker, that without water, actually in the oil and gas industry, they say no water, no oil. We came to discover from the experts that for you to extract that oil down there, you have to pump water, a lot of water, because apparently the oil is embedded in stones, rocks, a particular type of rock. So you have to pump it in, the water, high speed, and because water is denser than oil, the oil will then come up. But eventually some of the water will come up from the ground up. And they told us the water that God has put under there, the water that is there, is not good for up here. So we need to dispose of it. It's called produced water. You need to treat it before you release it to the environment. There are things, and they told us, lead, mercury, that mixes because it is underground. Mr. Speaker, these chemicals that we take and we make these gadgets, some of them are not supposed to be on the ground. They are supposed to be hidden down there. Mr. Speaker, we had the chance of visiting some space exploration place center in Beijing, and when they show you the soil, the soil from the moon, they tell you, be very careful. Do not touch, because we don't know what kind of elements are inside there. They could be bad to the human body. So don't touch. Just look at far, and we leave it there, and it is an enclosed place. What am I saying? I'm saying this, Mr. Speaker. There are elements that are foreign, and they are not supposed to live within 37 degrees centigrade where we live. They are not supposed to live in this space on top of the ground. But we require them to create these gadgets. And these gadgets are used here in Nairobi and in a place like Tana River, where people just think we will just use, when we finish, we'll throw it away. The land is so big, it will never affect us. No. Some of these equipment, Mr. Speaker, if not properly disposed of, they are carcinogenic in themselves. They are cancer-causing. And so, Mr. Speaker, this law, I am urging colleagues who will speak, honorable members who will speak to this law, let us support it, and where we feel there's something lacking, let us add, let us introduce amendments to make sure that this law is rich and it sees it passes here very quickly. It sees the light of the day very quickly. We take it to the other house and we get it signed before the end of this 5th session, so that, Mr. Speaker, we can live, this Senate can live with the history that we were amongst the first people to bring protection of e-waste in Kenya. Mr. Speaker, with also many remarks, I urge my colleagues who will speak to this bill to support it, and I beg to second. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Now, honorable senators, I propose the question that the Electronic Equipment Disposal, Recycling and Reuse Bill, Senate Bills number 5 of 2025, be now read a second time. I will call upon senators who would like to contribute to this bill. And Senator Manzo, you are on top of the request from my dashboard. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I really want to thank the Honorable Peristo Biko, my neighbor in Makueni County, and for a very thoughtful piece of legislation. Mr. Speaker, environment conservation has become a very, very important issue in the country and the world. Mr. Speaker, these laws are applicable to other countries. If you go to Europe, there is a way they dispose the fridges, there is a way they dispose the televisions, there is a way they dispose the phone gadgets, there is and there are certain trained people on how to do it. But how do we do it here in Kenya? Even when you have a television set, you have a small remote. We no longer use the torch batteries as much as they used to be used because of introduction of use of solar in the world now. But even the small batteries in your remote control, it has a lot of mercury, it has a lot of many other, and people just, once you're changing, just throw it in the dustbin. You can imagine how many of these batteries end up into our waste in the eastern part of Nairobi. And then people have to go and sort them out. And some of them, when they are exposed to the sun, they burst out, they are rotting, they have emissions. And the most important is lead and mercury, which are very poisonous and are also part of the poisonous substances which cause cancer. So this goes into a long way to protect young children, to protect many, many Kenyans from getting cancer. And then what happens when it rains? When these things have been disposed there, they've crashed, this goes to the rivers, go to the ocean, the fish to the lakes, and then the fish, the same fish, we come and consume it, Mr. Speaker, and before long we are either in the hospitals here in Kenya or even hospitals abroad. And it's very expensive for the country. So this is a law which is going to be very, very important. And not only that, then we have no policy of disposing the lead batteries, which you use in the cars. And then the ones now with the new development of solar energy, Mr. Speaker, we are using these batteries at home in many, many parts of the countryside, the solar batteries. In fact, when I go to a place to change my battery in one of these service stations, the workers, they say, oh, please, give me this battery. I send it home to be used by my mother in solar, and I gladly give them. But how is the old lady in the village going to dispose that battery when it can no longer be used for solar purposes? It has lead, it has acids, it has many other chemicals. So at some point, all these materials have to be dealt with professionally. We have the problem of asbestos. In America, they are suing. In America, they are suing, people. They're suing the government. In fact, a fund has been set for anybody poisoned by asbestos. Then and especially you get cancer out of it, and you can prove it, then you are compensated. But cancer is deadly. If not discovered early enough, then that person's life is cut short. And therefore, asbestos itself has already posed a challenge in the world. What about all these new things? And we still got a lot of it. So I thought it would even be better at third reading, we amend these to include several waste mechanisms so that we take care of everything else which is being disposed, because there are so many. And even take care of, because the counties, Mr. Speaker, have shocked me. Up to now, we are mixing our waste. The biodegradable and the non-biodegradable. They are in one bin. In many countries you go, Mr. Speaker, you find by law you have two types of bins. the biodegradables, which eventually get processed back into fertilizer or something safe. The non-biodegradables, from glass to all these things, small batteries used with electronic gadgets, all of it should end up in one place, so that it becomes easier to sort and easier to reorganize itself, so that it doesn't end up, poisoning people. So I'm very happy that I had, my good friend, the senator for Tana River, Dr. Mugatana, talk about even mining and its poisons, even the materials which had been picked from the moon. And every time these people traveled there, they had protective gadgets, so that when they carry these materials to be studied, they bring them back to Earth. And I was very lucky recently when I went to the US to the Senate, Capitol Hill. I met one of the senators, former senator, who is now dealing with the center, the research center on these space centers, and was himself at the moon, and later on became a senator. And after many years, he's still alive. Amazing man, together with his wife. They are really aging, but these are the people who can tell the young generation stories and who have seen the world evolve in the 60s to today, and the sort of computers they used then to go to the moon and the equipment, and now what is being used today, even the way planes have evolved. So the disposal of these electronic gadgets are in so many places, from the car radios, to the equipment used in planes, to the schedule is so big, and I think we should work with the Honorable Ferris Tobiko and experts, so that we make a proper schedule on how these things can be put together and how they can be, disposed safely. And this is a big industry in itself. It can create a lot of jobs for a lot of young people now who should be trained in this particular area, so that themselves also don't get exposed to danger. Because whoever is handling is likely to be exposed to danger. So it cannot be handled by amateurs. There must be some training school of some sort, and some manufacturing of equipment which makes sure that this person is not exposed as they deal with this waste. So, Mr. Speaker, I know many members want to contribute. This is a very interesting piece of legislation. I have seen published Gazette notice, meaning the bus has moved, and meaning that this cannot go back. And this shows how useful Senate is, and how experienced legislators like Ferris Tobiko, who's been quite around for some years, are making changes in the country and in the world. And I'm sure when we pass this legislation, quite a number of African countries will come and learn from us. And I think it is something which eventually will need a serious budgetary consideration because of the setting up stage to make sure that there is safe, destruction of this sort of waste. And not only this waste, even waste associated and related to this. You can see there are new computers here. There were iPads which have been removed. I don't know how they have been recycled, whether they have been donated to some primary school somewhere. We are donating. There are computers being donated all over in schools. But then how does that school eventually dispose these equipments, and how will the children interact with the waste, and how much are we poisoning our country? And we must now prepare for the future, because this is being generated at a very high rate. Everything has gone electronic. You are either on a phone, smartphone, or on your computers, and these are the new books. But the waste material, which is hazardous, how do we dispose it? So I really want to support this law and look forward at the third reading where we can make amendments and check out the research in the world, come up with all the best practices in the world, and get them done so that our country can be a lead example on how we dispose this very hazardous material. I thank you, Mr. Speaker. I support.
Senator Samson Cherargei.
Mr. Speaker, I want to thank you for giving me this opportunity to support the bill proposed by the distinguished senator, nominated Senator Peris Tobiko. Of course, I don't want to underscore and thank, I think, the distinguished senator from Makueni has agreed that Senator Tobiko has served as a legislator for some time, and therefore it comes with the experience. So, Speaker, the electronic equipment disposal, recycling, and reuse bill, I think is long overdue. We should have legislated this bill in 2012, because with the advent of the computer, many other issues that are being brought here and there, Mr. Speaker, is very critical, Mr. Speaker, and I want to congratulate her for this well-thought-out bill. To many people, it looks like a simple bill, but it will resolve a lot of challenges. Mr. Speaker, it's unfortunate that I'm using a paper. This bill, we should move it in a paperless. But unfortunately, with your new gadgets that has been installed, which are dysfunctional most of the time, we could not access at this is called Trident. We cannot access, so I wish we would be moving in a paperless, because we are discussing something about electronic disposal and many others, Mr. Speaker. But I know your office will intervene and ensure that it factored, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, the issue of e-waste is a big problem as we talk about climate change. In fact, the biggest threat to environment now is the wastage, e-waste, Mr. Speaker. Because many people don't think about what happens to the ones we used to have here before it was removed. What happens to the phones that you own and dispose? I want to thank some of the phone companies that you go and they replace or upgrade. But, Mr. Speaker, no one talks about where will your television sets go, the fridges we use go, our telephone go, Mr. Speaker. You know, we are using to traditional solid waste as the ones that we use, Mr. Speaker, but we must be aware that the issue of e-waste is here with us, and therefore we must have a process. And I want to thank the President for being a strategic promoter of the issue of clean environment, environmental safety issues, Mr. Speaker. And I'm happy this thing has done from the world level. I think this is one of the bills that will reflect the role of devolution, because even the points that have been created to establish the e-waste, Mr. Speaker, are at world level, then they are taken to the national process. And I think, being the protectors of devolution, I'm happy it's one of us, the colleague senator, who has drafted this bill. Mr. Speaker, this one is very important because it has given a very critical, a central role, because under Urban and Cities Act, Mr. Speaker, as you are aware, and fourth schedule of the Constitution, the role of garbage management and waste is predominantly the work, and management of our urban centers and cities is predominantly run by county governors. And I want to thank the President. Yesterday, all of us agree, whenever I drive Eastlands and parts of this Nairobi, anywhere across the country, even in our small cities and centers, I want to thank the President for signing cooperation and coming in to rescue Nairobi City County from Governor Sakaja maladministration, because everything was joking by the West. And I want to challenge anybody who lives in Nairobi will agree to me that the biggest menace of this city is garbage collection. And more so the e-waste also, which is becoming solid waste, Mr. Speaker. And by the way, governors have failed to establish how to manage waste, even in my own county. Even in Nandi, they are trying to draw some waste. They wanted to take waste to a place called Kropket. The people resisted. Even in my small town called Mosoria, Mr. Speaker, there is no proper dumping place. And most of these e-waste are solid waste, Mr. Speaker. Even in Wajir town, there is no dumping site. until the World Bank are trying to intervene, Mr. Speaker. You go to Kitui, the same thing. I saw there was challenges for people who live in coast, like Livy Senator, where e-waste are now being discharged to the sea, to our rivers, Mr. Speaker. You go here, even in this river regeneration program that the president launched today, after the signing of Cooperation Act with the county government of Nairobi, they are trying to manage, because what is clogging these rivers? I normally drive through Kibra, one of the largest slum centers in the world or in Africa. You drive, as you approach the bridge, you look down there, you can't imagine the quality of the water that is there, Mr. Speaker, because of lead exposition that is leading to many rising of cancer cases, Mr. Speaker. This could be a sign that this issue of e-waste and the components, Mr. Speaker. Number two, the issue of e-waste must be linked to how we extract some of the issues we use, like cobalt. The reason there is a lot of war in East Congo is because the fight of resources. One of the resources, Senator Mansaya, through the Speaker, is extraction of cobalt that is used to make some of these phones, Mr. Speaker. So even as we extract some of these extractives to manufacture and to use, we must be aware, where are they being disposed? Do they have lead? Do they have mercury that exposes us to the issue of wealth? So I think, Senator Topiko, when it comes, Mr. Speaker, to the issue of amending, we should also look at the other aspect of factoring in the role of an establishment of plant of recycling, Mr. Speaker, because we don't want our people to be exposed, Mr. Speaker. So I think the issue of rates and charges, due and fees, Mr. Speaker, as I speak, we need the biggest success in most of the international and some of, Mr. Speaker, some of you, like you, Speaker, who has traveled a lot and is aware of what is happening in most of these cities, Mr. Speaker, you are aware that the disposal of waste, e-waste and solid has been managed in other countries. And I think our cities will continue stinking to high heavens so long as we don't have a proper, clear procedure of managing e-waste, which is now, Mr. Speaker, I was looking at the definition of e-waste as I come to the powers of the Cabinet Secretary, Mr. Speaker, like, for example, the computers, I think I had mentioned, for purposes of Kenyans who are following this discussion, Mr. Speaker, like mobile phones, large households, appliances like fridges, like television sets, medical equipments. Where does it go, Mr. Speaker? E-cigarettes. And I remember the Senator had brought something about e-cigarettes and the vapes, where young people in this city and major cities, they call what? Aluta. There is where the aluta means, Speaker, in the street, that you disappear on Friday and appear on Monday like Jesus Christ. That's what most of the youth do. They smoke what you call vape. And I'm aware that Bomet Town now has a new latest club. You know, Bomet is our headquarters of Kalenjin music. I'm told in every village, at least there is an artist who is singing some song in Bomet County, Mr. Speaker. So the issue of toys that we buy our children, we assume also some of them are also part of e-waste, Mr. Speaker. And number 4, we must also, I know, Mr. Speaker, I will receive very serious backlash from the manufacturers because their argument is that the Producers' Responsibility Organization, the PROs, have already paid tax. But we need to ensure that they pay eco-levy so that they assist us with that money to use for e-waste recycling or destruction of e-waste, Mr. Speaker. I remember in the Finance Bill 2024, although it was a popular finance bill that led to JNC pricing and the National Assembly under the presidential memorandum decided to withdraw the bill, one of the important key components, many Kenyans did not, it was about eco-levy, Mr. Speaker. We should have assisted when Samsung brings phones to Kenya, when Apple brings phones to Kenya, when any other manufacturers of electrical appliances bring to Kenya. We must tax them to get eco-levy or eco-tax, Mr. Speaker, so that we can use for the recycling and disposal of e-waste. And I think they might argue that through the manufacturers of PROs, in fact, Mr. Speaker, if the argument of multinational tech companies is that they are paid through Producers' Responsibility Organizations, PROs, they should establish their local manufacturing plants in Kenya. Why is it Samsung has not established their own plant of assembling? The Toyota, and many other computer. You know, a car, Mr. Speaker, also has computer appliances that can be used to be disposed, Mr. Speaker. So this one, colleagues, and I want to appeal to the sponsor of the bill, I don't know, the owner of the bill. I fear using the word sponsor, because sponsor means something else, and naturally sponsor in the street mean a man outside there, but let me use the owner of the bill, that we must amend. I know it will bring crisis, Mr. Speaker, of the issue of finance, the issue of article, on the issue of National Assembly. They will argue that this is a money bill. But if we can collaborate with the National Assembly and include the eco-tax levy, it will be easy to manage e-waste, Mr. Speaker. And I think, Mr. Speaker, what shocks me with our colleagues in the National Assembly, I'm not discussing them, but sometimes they reject our bill saying it is money bill. But after 2-3 days, they republish the same bill. So is that not parallelism, or what we call in academic world, Mr. Speaker? I have seen many bills, even my bill that was about anti-stock theft bill that we passed in this house. After some time, I saw the majority leader of National Assembly publishing, after the National Assembly argued that it was a money bill. Does it mean that the Senate has the most brilliant and Solomonic wise men and women, that we generate brilliant ideas for the National Assembly to be just doing gold digging, Mr. Speaker? Are they gold diggers in this instance, Mr. Speaker? I don't know whether my majority whip will agree with that explanation, Mr. Speaker, and Senator Wambua. Are we too brilliant so that they have to come and raid in quotes our ideas and reject only using one reason in the Constitution, that this is a money bill? I know, Senator Tobiko, the argument will be if we include the issue of tax, eco-tax. I don't know how you will do, but you will allow me at the third reading to at least amend so that we can get the taxation, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I will just make 2 points on the issue of licensing of waste collectors. Mr. Speaker, I know Senator Tobiko should relook at the possibility of ensuring that National Environmental and Management Authority become part and parcel of the licensing bodies, including the county governments, to ensure that we ensure the licensing are given, because these are very sensitive waste, the e-waste, Mr. Speaker, and it is important that the grant and conditional of licensing should be done and must be done within the law. And National Environment and Management Authority, Mr. Speaker, we have the MCA, as you are aware. National Environment Management Authority should also be part and parcel, and the county governments of Kenya should be part and parcel for the licensing of the waste collectors. Mr. Speaker, I don't know, Senator Tobiko, what we will use through the chair, because the normal waste is we use lorries that are old, Mr. Speaker. And these lorries that are old that carry our cabbage across our towns, they never get stuck. Mr. Speaker, they always belch smoke. I don't know whether the law allows, Mr. Speaker, that such lorries. Most of them are unroadworthy, and most of them are on our roads. I've never seen a traffic police officer stopping as a waste collector of a lorry, unless Senator Wambua has seen it somewhere. But we normally see it in traffic. They belch smoke. No one stops them. I don't know. They throw trash around. So I hope as we give licensing to the waste collectors, it's important. Even the licensing of waste recyclers, very important. We need to agree. And I think it is the challenge to county governments to partner. Mr. Speaker, the biggest threat to our urban cities and towns is one thing, Mr. Speaker, is the issue of how to dispose the waste. That is the biggest thing. You go to Getengela, where my sister comes from, Kajiado, Kapsabet, Eldoret, Wajir, Baringo, in Kabarnet. Mr. Speaker, the waste, even in Kitui town. You know, I'm Kitui, I'm Manilo there, so I always must mention Kitui. And I hope the next governor will be my good friend, Senator Wambua. Today it has been hard on the speaker, but I want to apologize him as a good Christian. As we begin the Lent season, as we begin Ramadan, my brother, cool down. It shall be well. Mr. Speaker, I have noted the change of Madam Speaker on the seat. So on this issue of e-waste of recyclers, we must agree on the catalog of engagement and duration of license. I would wish that we should at least give, I've seen that is period of 1 year, but my proposal, let us make it 2 years or 24 months with a review that is allowed within that aspect, Mr. Speaker. Madam Speaker, sorry. The issue of collectors, responsibility of e-waste recyclers and collectors, we must intertwine. Let us have a published. Madam Speaker, you are aware there are cartels in this city. That when you go to Dandora dam site, they control the dam site. Are you aware garbage collection is one of the serious businesses in this country, especially in this city? We need to be careful on how we handle e-waste collectors and recyclers. Because you are aware, Madam Speaker, there are many cartels who control garbage. And somebody told me in Kiswahili, quote unquote, hakuna pesa chafu na pesa safi, pesa ni pesa, Mr. Speaker. So we must be careful, Mr. Speaker, and in the same spirit, allow him, Madam Speaker, that as we move this bill, there is a significant, we need also to agree on our road signages. And in mentioning road signages, I want to congratulate Engineer Luka Kimeli of being appointed the Director General of Kenya National Highways Authority, Engineer Jackson Wangondu or Mangondu of being appointed the Director General of Kenya Kenya Rural Roads Authority, and also Madam Ayutsla, who has been appointed as the Director General of Kenya Roads Board, and also congratulate the new NTSA CEO, Mr. Kodiwa, of being appointed the Director General, Madam Speaker. And I hope the issue of roads and road signages, the expansion of roads, forms part of e-waste. Madam Speaker, you are aware NTSA just launched a policy on how electric vehicles. So we need also to think, when will we dispose electric vehicles? This bill has really captured, and I think as the NTSA, National Transport Security, comes in with the focus, Mr. Speaker, Madam Speaker, it will be the focus. And I want to say with those appointments, it reflects the face of Kenya. I have seen our colleagues, not here and outside, they are trying to cast aspersions that it was not merit. It was merit, Madam Speaker, and I've seen one of the chairs of one of the agencies is your very close friend, Engineer Maura, who did the appointment today, on behalf of the board, of course. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, as I celebrate one of the brilliant Maasai girls and women of our generation that can only replace the shoes of the Maasai kingpin, Olentimama William, Madam Speaker, we celebrate, what a man can do, a woman can do better. I think that is very clear. We need to encourage women in leadership. And I'm happy my sister is going for the top job in Kajiado County. God willing, she will be the governor of Kajiado. Madam Speaker, I don't want you to go for these small seats like women rep senator. Just go for the governor of Murang'a County, and we will support you. We will support you, Madam Speaker. I saw the current governor sign not to be accounted. He's a fugitive of accountability. We need people who will be accounted, Madam Speaker. I want to cheer you on to be the governor of Murang'a County. Yeah? Yes, don't fear, we'll support you. We have Madam Tobiko become the governor of Kajiado. And I will ask my good friend, the State House Controller, because we are going for 2-term, Kato Lemetito to remain as State House Controller. Peris Tobiko becomes the governor because we are going for 2-term. For Kitui, we'll create an exception. We'll give to Governor Wambua because he's a good man, just because he's a good man, but in wrong company. Madam Speaker, and therefore, we must support this bill to ensure that we do e-waste and ensure that, and I hope governors will be able to be accountable, Madam Speaker. When we bring governors, I know, God willing, when you'll be governor of Murang'a, please ensure this law is, I know Murang'a is semi-urban. You know, Murang'a and part of Mount Kenya region, most of your centers are nearer. But I think the challenge you struggle with is to dispose e-waste, Madam Speaker. So I want to appreciate and request that the governors implement. These are issues, Madam Speaker, in conclusion. These are issues that we needed governors to discuss in Kilifi. Not to discuss, not to be accountable, Madam Speaker. Washindwe, I support.
Senator Cheradigei, thank you for those contributions. And you have been kind to women, that they should be included within the governance cycles. So that is why I let you get away with a few of those things. Senator Wambua Enoch Kio.
I thank you, Madam Speaker. I also sat here patiently listening to Senator Cherargei going on and on. And I realized that, Madam Speaker, you were comfortable in your skin because he was saying nice things about you. And I hope that when I start saying good things about other people, Madam Speaker, the same latitude shall be extended to me.
Senator Wambua, it's Lent period and it started today. It's a day of being kind and thinking about others. So we'll think about you too.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Kindness is my second name, so I'll be kind to everyone, including to Senator, the Queen of the North. Madam Speaker, allow me to begin by congratulating our colleague, Senator Peris Tobiko. And Madam Speaker, you know there is one thing that happens, and it's people don't talk about it a lot. But today, because you've asked me to be nice and kind, let me be nice and kind to Senator Tobiko because she deserves it. And Madam Speaker, Senator Tobiko was introduced to politics by none other than His Excellency Dr. Stephen Kalonzo Musyoka, when together they formed the then Wiper Party. And she has been very consistent on the values that we espouse as a party, being a true social democrat. Madam Speaker, this bill that Senator Tobiko is proposing, I would say that it's a bill that has come at the right time. Madam Speaker, you remember yesterday, we got the full script of the deal between the national government and the county government of the city of Nairobi, where one of the areas of cooperation is on solid waste management. And a whopping 4 billion Kenya shillings has been assigned by the national government to assist in the management of solid waste in the city of Nairobi. Madam Speaker, the only thing that I'll add to that is that, again, I hope, being a true believer in the success of devolution, that perhaps the same support could be extended to other counties that are also really, really struggling, especially with this matter and question of solid waste management. Madam Speaker, the things that I like about this bill, one, it sets a framework for the regulation of both the collection and the recycling of electronic waste. Madam Speaker, one of the biggest challenges that we have been facing as a country is that there has been no distinction between the disposal and management of waste from our living rooms, from our offices, even from our kitchens, including ugali and githeri, and the management of electronic equipment that have become obsolete and need to be disposed. And so, Madam Speaker, the thinking behind this bill is noble, and I want to ask and encourage my colleagues to support this bill and hope that once we pass it, the members of the lower house will have the presence of mind, Madam Speaker, and consider this bill so that it is ascended into law by the President. Madam Speaker, there are a few things that I would want to suggest to Senator Tobiko about this bill. Madam Speaker, I wish I could get the attention of the mover of the bill. She is being distracted by the Senator of Bomet, who a few minutes ago was seated where you are seated. Madam Speaker, I wanted Senator Biko to hear this. Senator Wakili Sigei, you can pick up with her after I'm done with her about a few issues with the bill. One, my reading of this bill creates the impression that recycling of e-waste should be licensed by the cabinet secretary. The people that want to carry out that business of recycling e-waste should be licensed by the cabinet secretary responsible for environment in the national government. I would want to plead with the mover of the motion to consider decentralizing that role so that if there is a recycler in Kitui interested in doing that business, then the licensing of that recycler be handled by the county government of Kitui, so that then what the national government will do will just set the standards and policy guidelines so that we don't have different counties, different standards, and different policies. So we make it really a shared function between the national government and the county governments. Secondly, and I don't know what the mover of this motion can do about this, perhaps nothing. You know, Madam Speaker, we have an institution, and I've said this many, many times, and I will repeat it on the floor of the House. The National Environment Management Authority, NEMA, from where I sit, when it comes to the destruction of the environment in this country, NEMA is as guilty as the people that destroy our environment. Because these people sit back and watch over major destruction of our environment, but they are very busy running after small little people. You know, our young people who are doing small little businesses, packaging chips in polythene bags. You know, those people find it very rough to undertake those kind of businesses where NEMA officials are concerned. But these NEMA people will watch over destruction of entire rivers because I suspect they are part of the cartels that are involved in the businesses that come from those rivers for the sand and all that. So I see there is a role for NEMA to play here. The only thing I can say, Madam Senator Tobiko, through the Speaker, is let's just wish Kenya well with NEMA. But as currently constituted, with the mindset that they have, I have very little faith that NEMA will be able to carry out some of these responsibilities that have been assigned to them. Thirdly, the Senator from Makueni has raised a very, very important point. You know, Madam Speaker, every now and then, we are donating computers to schools. The other time, Madam Speaker, when the government in which you serve came to power the first time, there was a promise to young people for tablets for all primary school kids. And the argument is that those tablets were never issued. The other people say they were issued. Whichever the argument, Madam Speaker, the question to ask ourselves is, because I believe that those tablets are not in use, most of them are not in use now, how have they been disposed? Madam Speaker, this bill is so important for not just the disposal of electronic equipment, including computers, but even disposal of obsolete electronic medical equipment. Madam Speaker, you know there is this program called the Managed Equipment Scheme, which has become what it has become. There were a lot of X-ray machines, a lot of other lab equipment that was given to all the health facilities across the country. Those facilities, Madam Speaker, truth be told, I have no capacity to properly dispose those equipment. And one of the questions that we were asking on the floor of this House was, after the lifespan of this medical equipment, the X-rays, the CT scan machines, and all those other machines, after their lifespan, how do we expect the local dispensaries in remote areas to be able to dispose these machines in a manner that does not harm the environment, in a manner that does not turn out to be a health hazard to the people living in those areas? So, Mr. Speaker, this bill comes at a time that actually the lifespan of those equipment is almost expiring. And so we hope that by the time that those equipment completely become obsolete, then this bill will have been signed into law, and there will be then proper guidelines on how to dispose those electronic equipment and gadgets that have become obsolete. Madam Speaker, in conclusion, Madam Speaker, there has been a trend in this parliament that we have to apply ourselves to, and I know I also have a role to play as a leader in this House. Madam Speaker, such a brilliant bill, we will debate it, we'll process it. I believe that my colleagues will see the good sense to pass this bill in good time. But then, how many bills have been processed from this House and are now lying and gathering dust on the shelves of the National Assembly? Madam Speaker, that's a conversation that we need to have. We need to have a conversation with our colleagues in the lower house that we are not in competition for anything. Our responsibilities, our roles must be complementary. We should be helping each other to help our country. Because surely, Madam Speaker, anyone going to sit on a bill like this, what would they be saying? And as you've heard Senator Cherargei allude to, they will just look for a line. This bill has created as an authority, so it's a money bill. And just because of that, Madam Speaker, if there was goodwill on both houses, this is what would happen. They would look at this bill and tell us, colleagues, you know what? We believe that this section, this clause, makes this bill a money bill. Remove it from your bill, pass it without that clause, bring it to the National Assembly. We shall insert that clause as an amendment to the bill. We will pass it. It will come to you. You will concur, and we will have a law. Madam Speaker, that is how bicameral parliaments operate. You don't sit back there, say, you finish your work, we will show you who we are. Madam Speaker, this is a very important bill. Very, very important bill. And I hope that the National Assembly will see the sense in it, that will pass this bill. We shall be helping not just ourselves, our children and their children's children. So, Madam Speaker, it doesn't get to a time that now we have polluted our environment to an extent that everybody has been exposed to danger simply because there is competition on where this bill should originate from. Madam Speaker, with those remarks, I support.
Thank you, Senator Wambua. Senator Dhangwa Paul Karungo.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. As I rise to also support this bill, that is the Electronic Equipment Disposal, Recycling and Reuse Bill, that has been tabled on the floor of the House today by the Senator Tobiko from Kajiado. Madam Speaker, as I support this bill, we need to, first of all, do some definitions, or first explain what exactly is e-waste, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, what are these electronic and electrical waste that we are talking about? Because someone somewhere seated probably in a corner of Kiambu County might be wondering, what is this e-waste, Madam Speaker? Madam Speaker, everybody in this house has a mobile phone, maybe one, maybe two. They have a tablet. They have a digital watch, Madam Speaker, and other gadgets that we use. Madam Speaker, these are some of the things we are talking about. Once you are done with your phone, what do you do with it? If it is broken beyond repair, what do you do with it? What about your watch? What about your tablet, Madam Speaker? And that is, these are consumables. What about if we get to homes and household appliances, Madam Speaker? We have fridges, we have microwaves, we do have TVs and other gadgets that we use, even the game consoles, the PS2s, and all those other things, Madam Speaker. Once we are done with them, what do you do with them? How do we dispose them? Because some of them are not, they cannot be repairable, Madam Speaker. If we go to the office, we have printers, we have photocopiers. All those machines, Madam Speaker, those are the things that we are calling e-waste. Madam Speaker, even hospitals, they do have these equipment, Madam Speaker. How do they dispose these gadgets or these materials, Madam Speaker? That is what this law is coming to cure, Madam Speaker. Because in curing, we mean we are requiring disposed, this material should be disposed safely, Madam Speaker. Because as we have been told today, they contain some dangerous chemicals. That is the lead, that is the mercury, toxic smoke. If they burn these plastics from these equipments, Madam Speaker. We even have cadmium, Madam Speaker. That is also some metallic hazardous materials that are used to make these gadgets, Madam Speaker. So this bill is calling for proper disposal of these items so that we can protect our environment, so that we can protect the health of Kenyans, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, we are also calling for them to be recycled properly. You know, sometimes when you have a TV and probably you buy another because you can be able to afford a 65, 100-inch, Madam Speaker, and you had a 24-inch or 32-inch, Madam Speaker, how do you dispose that? You can recycle it by giving it out to somebody else who can be able to use it, Madam Speaker, instead of just throwing it to the garbage pit, Madam Speaker. If you have an old phone, probably you can recycle by giving it, passing it to somebody who is willing to accept and willing to use it, Madam Speaker. Because those times are gone when people used to buy cheap mobile phones, Madam Speaker. Because they understand, they don't know who used that phone before you. Maybe it was a criminal. And you know nowadays Kenyans are sensitized. They understand that you can get a phone and put a SIM card in it, and the DCI will know where you are. And maybe they've been looking for that phone because a criminal used it somewhere. So Kenyans are not buying old phones, Madam Speaker. So that's why you'll find most of them in the dustbins or you find them in the garbage collection sites, Madam Speaker. So what I'm trying to say is we should also encourage recycling of these materials, Madam Speaker. And also to be reused where possible. You know, that was actually to be reused where possible. Recycling is using some of those gadgets in repair shops or wherever, Madam Speaker. So this law is trying to cure the way they treat this kind of garbage, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as we do this, and this law I know is going to protect this, which is a global problem, because developing countries are dumping these gadgets in developing countries. I mean, the developed countries are trying to dump these gadgets into developing countries, Madam Speaker. And they, dump them through donations. They are calling them a resale or reuse. And when they come to this country, Madam Speaker, you only use it for a year. So because they don't want to dump these things in their countries, they are dumping them in our country, Madam Speaker. And you can see we have so many donations that are coming of used equipment, even hospital equipment, Madam Speaker. Of course, I'm not saying that they are not helping the country, but we need to set rules and guidelines. Even if you're giving me something, don't just give me because you don't need it, or just because you cannot use it, or because you cannot reuse it or recycle it. You're just giving it out so that you're using me as a garbage or a dustbin, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, as I look at the bill, there are a few sections which I would request the mover to also amend them or look at them because they are a bit sensitive. The sensitive part of the bill, Madam Speaker, and Senator Wambua has highlighted it. Madam Speaker, the first question is it encroaching into devolution, Madam Speaker? Because we do understand waste management is largely a county function. So when we give the national government the power to license, they are taking away some of the functions of the county, Madam Speaker. And so we wouldn't want it to encroach on devolved function. So we would request that the counties should be doing the licensing when it comes to waste management, waste disposal, reuse, and recycling, Madam Speaker. The other question that will arise, who pays for the recycling, Madam Speaker? Because sometimes, and when I look at the law, some of these recycling is passed on to the producer, to the importer, to the person who is bringing or the manufacturer. Madam Speaker, if we give it solely to these people, of course they are going to pass now this cost to the consumer. And the mobile phones will be expensive. The computers will be expensive. Everything will be expensive. I think we should divide this kind of cost to both the consumer and the producer, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, in countries where they have dealt with waste of plastics, Madam Speaker, and in Kenya we are a bit different. Instead of coming up with some nice laws that enhance some of these things, we ban things, just the way we banned paper bags, and now here we are just about to ban plastic bottles. Some countries, the way they deal with this kind of garbage, Madam Speaker, is to make sure that every plastic bottle is attached to some value. Meaning if you use a plastic bottle and you throw it away, if somebody collected that plastic bottle and took it to a supplier or distributor, they get some money from it, Madam Speaker. Not just for use or for whatever, but it has some money in it, Madam Speaker. And I can give this example by saying, if you are producing water or you're packaging water, that plastic bottle will be attached to an amount of about 20 Kenyan shillings. So whoever has that plastic bottle, taking it to any shop, taking it to any manufacturer, taking it to any recycler, will be given 20 shillings. You will never see a plastic bottle somewhere, Madam Speaker. Because for that person who does not care about 20 bob and throw away the plastic bottle, it will be collected by somebody who needs this amount of money. And we can be creating jobs and also feeding poor families, Madam Speaker, or those that really require such an amount. So when it comes to this, Madam Speaker, the issue of e-waste, we should also do the same. We should attach some value to some of this wastage so that if I see a mouse, that is a computer mouse, if I collect it, I take it somewhere, I'll get 5 bob. If I collect a computer keyboard or a mobile phone, I'll get something. So instead of Madam Speaker, saying that the cost will go to the manufacturer, we should attach that value. And when they collect all these things, they can get tax rebate. I collected this amount of wastage, so can I get some tax rebate, Madam Speaker, so that I can be able to continue doing some of these things. And finally, Madam Speaker, the other question we are asking, will this affect second-hand electronics by making them expensive? Or maybe affect the traders, Madam Speaker? Because nowadays, because of TikTok, which for some reason the National Assembly wants to ban TikTok. I do not understand how they think or why they think that way, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, because of TikTok, which is a platform that is free for Kenyans to market their ideas, we have had so many people sell things through TikTok. If I have a phone that I cannot use, Madam Speaker, I can just do a TikTok video and sell it. If I need such a phone, I can do a TikTok video and somebody will sell it to me, Madam Speaker. And I will buy it, in a fairer price, because some people don't sell things because they're damaged or because they're spoiled. They sell them because probably they have gotten a different or a better gadget, Madam Speaker. So there are those who buy second-hand things to sell to people. So will it be very expensive if these rules comes to place? So those are some of the issues that I would want the mover to think about, and we can bring some amendments to make sure that this law, which is very important to this country, that is passed without so many questions, Madam Speaker. And my proposal, which I'll be bringing to her, Madam Speaker, is that counties to control and license waste collection and recycling, Madam Speaker. All levies to go to the county, apart from the national, the entrance when it comes to import duties and all that, but any licensing when it comes to waste collection, distribution, recycling, to go to the counties, Madam Speaker. And also, we ask for gradual compliance. This is to ensure that small traders, because I can buy a broken TV, because I know I'll get a capacitor in there, I'll get some lights in there to repair another TV, Madam Speaker, so that I can be able to buy these things. I don't probably need a license to go buy one gadget, Madam Speaker. I can just go to my village and say, anybody who has a broken TV, who is selling it, I can buy it and put it in my shop because I'm going to use some, gadgets or some units of it to repair. And also, Madam Speaker, we must protect the consumer. This law should not be used to, to make sure that the consumer pays for it, Madam Speaker, when it comes to when these gadgets are very expensive to handle, Madam Speaker. But it is the best law for this country. This e-waste bill, the recycling of electronics and equipment, Madam Speaker, so I support it with those amendments, Madam Speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Bangwa. Senator Olekina Ledama.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Madam Speaker, I rise to make some brief comments on this proposed legislation. Before I proceed, let me appreciate the distinguished senator for having taken the time to think about waste management in this country. Madam Speaker, this parliament has got an existing legislation, which I bet is broad, which is a Sustainable Waste Management Act of 2022, which is quite broad. Now, this piece of legislation, which is now referred to as the Electronic Equipment Disposable Recycling and Reuse Bill, is a narrow bill. And I asked myself when I was reading through this bill, whether it would have been better so that this bill can actually see the end of the day or light at the end of the tunnel, whether Senator Tobiko would have amended the Broad Sustainable Waste Management Act to be able to incorporate her ideas on that bill, which would have been a shorter route to take than now introduce this bill, to look at what has been the challenge of implementing the existing piece of legislation. I'll take some time and try to point out. I've written quite a lot of notes here, which I'll try to refer to. And I will look at the current existing legislation and the challenges in that legislation and what I foresee as challenges with implementing this new proposed legislation, hypothetically, if it sees the light at the end of the tunnel and it becomes law. Number one, currently, transporters have gone to court. And they have said that it is impossible to be able to segregate color code waste, particularly on organic waste. For them to be able to say, we are recycling this, we are reusing this, they have also gone to and said specifically that there are no designated organic waste or dump sites where this thing would be sent there. This has been a big struggle, and NEMA has not been able to deal with this matter. It is in court. And if you try to be realistic and try to be candid, the reason why this matter is a thorn in the flesh is because it is a business. Today, if I'm a transporter and I come to your neighborhood, your manicured neighborhood that you live in, Speaker, and I take all the trash, I dump it in Dandora. There are 1,000 people who are there working, sorting out that garbage. So the moment now you allow the segregation of this waste, particularly the organic, and you do not have a site, you are actually making other people stay hungry. And that is why people do not want these waste management bills to be able, or laws to be able to be effected or implemented. Now, I will now focus on the existing legislation, on the new bill which is being proposed. To cure that, I've seen the distinguished senator, and this is what I think is a very strong point in this proposal, where she's now said that the national government will set aside 30 acres of land which will be managed by the National E-Waste Recycling Plant. 30 acres. And who is going to fund these 30 acres? She has looked at the existing piece of legislation and she has built on the extended producer responsibility, or what is referred to as EPR, whereby I am a producer of this bottle. The current legislation requires me to be able to ensure that I follow through the disposal of this bottle. Now, currently, who is paying for that? There is a penalty of about 20,000 shillings, which has been put. You know, NEMA requires you to give them an audit every so often on how you're going to manage that. But the distinguished senator has now said, no, you, the producer, will have to fund these waste recycling plants. You will have to fund them. I dare say that is a burden to the producer. Because you've not told that producer who is producing that e-waste, or that phone, this phone particularly, that now this is how you're going to recover your capex, the amount of money you're going to use to build that plant. You've not given them a tax incentive. I would like to request the senator to consider saying, introducing a clause that says, for this producer who is going to set up that e-plant, you're going to get a huge tax rebate for that purpose. That way, we can be fair. Number two also, you've told the Mama Mboga that now it is your responsibility to deliver this e-waste, that phone of yours, to a ward recycling center. Because this bill, unlike the 2022 Act which is in place, it has narrowed, based on my understanding, on the following issues: collecting, sorting, and processing. But now you've told these Mama Mboga that when that phone, you are now disposing that phone, you need to take it to a particular place. And if you don't, we will charge you over 20,000 shillings. My proposal would be, since you are now already penalizing the producer and taxing the producer to setting aside, managing these 5 acres in wards levels, 30 acres in the national, in the capital centers. The best way to deal with this issue, so that you do not penalize this Mama Mboga or low-income earners who are not able to go and find that location, introduce mobile collections, where they go around in that neighborhood and then they collect. My problem that I see sometimes with a piece of legislation is that we forget that we are a developing nation. We produce legislation as if we are a developed nation, where people are disciplined. They know that there are consequences to you violating these laws. So I think in terms of equity, as well as oversight, we may need to also reduce these licensing fees. Because these licensing fees, which you have now restricted to 1 year, sometimes, honestly, every year you have to renew a license for waste. It might exclude the low-income earners, people who want to get into that business. So long as you have you give them a license for 5 years, and every so often you can carry out an audit to see whether they are complying. Or if you feel like there are people who can be able to pay more, scale it up so that you have everyone taken into consideration. So because of time, and I would like my colleague to be able to contribute to this matter as well, we have had a discussion on that. I want to reiterate on the following. When it comes to the extended producer responsibility, and I've seen that you have borrowed heavily on the existing piece of legislation of the 2022, I would suggest that you propose a tax break for the producers. So you have a balance between the producers and the consumers. Don't overburden the consumers, because the moment and I agree with Senator Thangwa, the moment you introduce this responsibility of the producers in managing these waste management, e-waste management centers, that amount of money will be on pass to the consumer. So to be able to ensure that you've introduced a recovery or a way for them to recover their capex, introduce tax waiver or give them a tax incentive. To finalize, I want to say that in terms of this what was being contributed by my colleagues in terms of the responsibilities. Right now, we are talking about empowering our county governments. When you give all the powers to the cabinet secretary, we are slowly clawing down on devolution, the powers in devolved governments. Right now, even NEMA is devolved. So let us encourage our counties to be able to manage their waste. Let us encourage our counties to be able to come up with policies on how their waste are managed. There are counties where you will not find a lot of e-waste. But if you have one blanket piece of legislation that covers the entire 47 counties, I bet you will be a bit unfair for other counties. Now, is this a good legislation? Absolutely. Do we need to ensure that it can become law? Yes. So the task is on you, Senator Paris, to look at the existing piece of legislation, to be cognizant of the fact that there's someone waiting out there to be able to go to court and say you are over-legislating. Look at the existing piece of legislation. Look at the challenges. And I've given you one challenge. There is an active case where NEMA has not even managed to solve it. In terms of where do you dispose organic waste? Look at the business interest. How are you going to manage those things? And pay attention on the extended producer responsibility. If I'm a producer of an iPhone, if I'm a producer of a Samsung or any other phone, I want an incentive to be able to continue selling in this market. I do want. Otherwise, very soon, you will see phones that you cannot even tie into the producer. We want to be able to make sure that whatever pieces of legislation that we pass in this house can be effective. You know, we sit here and come up with legislation. We do a lot of research. But if they do not become future-centric and support our economy, they'll be of no use. I know the aim of you coming up with this bill is to promote health, reduce pollution, and most importantly, promote a circular economy. That is, I know that is the purpose. That is the aim of this. I don't know why you chose to come up with the bill alone instead of amending the existing act. But now that you have, we will support it. But think about those challenges which are there, that no one will talk about them. Otherwise, with those many remarks, and seeing that I only have 10 minutes left, I wish to support. And I stop there. Thank you.
Thank you, Senator Ledama. Senator Wakili Hilary Kiprotich Sigei, Bomet County.
Madam Speaker, those are my full names, and I appreciate the fact that you've called out all the names, including the very critical place I represent, the county of Bomet. Now, Madam Speaker, when we closed in the fourth session last December, this House and our respective desks had different gadgets. We had tablets which were different from the ones which we are currently using. I dare ask the question, where are they? How are they disposed of? And whether they're still a subject of utilization elsewhere. That is part of the question the Senate, the bill that has been sponsored by Senator Tobiko is seeking to answer. How do we dispose of our e-waste and electronic equipment in terms of reuse or recycle? And therefore, Senator Tobiko, this is a timely bill, and I want to appreciate the effort that you have put into making sure that this bill gets into the floor of the House. And I am a proud member of this House, Madam Speaker, because earlier on, Senator Cherargei indicated that he was unable to access the documentations that we are utilizing in the House to transact the business of the House in the equipment that we have. But I would like to confirm that the reports that we are debating, the bills that we are dealing with, including the bill that I am speaking to right now, the order paper, and every other document that we are using to transact the business of the House is on this gadget. The question then would be, by introducing this new gadget, we have minimized on the use of papers, we have minimized and reduced on the cost of printing the papers, and of course, by extension, the waste that comes along with it has been minimized. And therefore, the bill Senator Tobiko is bringing before this House is a timely one. it seeks to answer so many questions. And Madam Speaker, I have gone through a bit of the record, and I have got some quite glaring statistics on the e-waste currently in Kenya. Madam Speaker, record has it that in the year 2025, e-waste, we had 53,559 metric tons of e-waste. These 53,000 metric tons of e-waste is largely contributed by, among others, household small items like fridges, like toasters, and this gives us 19,000 metric tons. Laptops, tablets, phones, among other such gadgets contribute around 5.7 thousand metric tons of e-waste. Besides those specifics which you have mentioned, Madam Speaker, the conversation around disposal of electronic equipment is something that is global for now. It is global because there is a lot of proliferation of counterfeit products. For instance, in terms of the laptops, phones, and such related, there is a lot of such a counterfeit in the market. And there is also a lot of informal sector players in the electronic recycling environment. It therefore means that we need a law that speaks to the current situation that we have, both in the country and also in the region as well as globally. And therefore, the bill that has been sponsored by Senator Biko, by speaking to the hierarchy of disposal of facilities, all the way from the ward level to the county level and now the national level, has developed a system that is cognizant of the fact that we are now in this country at a level where every household, from the lowest representation in the village, at least has got an electronic equipment, whether in form of a television set or in form of a radio or even any other household equipment, we have them. And therefore, for us to be able to manage, we must start from that lowest level, and the creation of hierarchy in this bill is a welcome move, and I would like to appreciate Senator Tobiko for doing that. The bill, Madam Speaker, now going to specific provisions. When you look at the provisions of Clause 3, that gives us the objectives of the bill. Madam Speaker, the bill seeks to create a sustainable environment that is compliant with mechanisms in terms of disposal, recycling, and reuse of electronic equipment. That objective can only be met if we have a representation from the county where we are able to collect at the ward level, we collect at the county level, we dispose or we reuse at a collection center based at the county or at the national level. And those particular provisions have been provided for. The creation of the role of the cabinet secretary in collaboration with the CC in the county of a relevant committee in Clause 7, Clause 8, and Clause 9, Madam Speaker, speaks to a creation of a conveyor sort of belt system where if we are collecting at a certain level in the ward, we are equally collecting at the certain level in the county, we are recycling at a centralized point in the national government, and that has been provided for. Clause 7 provides for the CC in the relevant county. Clause 8 provides for, Clause 9, provides for the process of licensing. And this is one of which I wanted to make a proposal to the sponsor of the bill, Senator Perez Tobiko, where Clause 9 requires the CC alone to sit on an application for purposes of an e-waste collector in the county to be licensed. I want to propose, Senator Tobiko, that instead of having the CEC to sit alone and make a decision as to whether to grant a license to an applicant or not, in most cases is a little bit unjust and unfair. I would propose that you create a provision that will require a committee to be set so that we become objective whenever an application has been put in by a member of the public who wants to, create a collection center. That proposal will similarly affect the mandate of the CS under Clause 10 for the CS to sit on an application by an e-waste recycler seeking to get a permit or a license. We also propose to amend the clause to develop or to establish a committee that will sit under the supervision of the CEC at the county level and the CS at the national level so that we have an objective assessment of an application for a collector and a recycler respectively. But the important provision which I must speak to, of course, is the global requirement that this bill is seeking to restrict the importation by ensuring that those who are licensed are under an obligation on what you have termed as in the bill extended producer responsibility, so that a producer or an importer is under an obligation to make sure that the producer manages the whole cycle from production, sale, disposal, or reuse. That way, we will be able to manage that cycle so that we avoid a break in terms of obligation on those players within the sector. The creation of the licenses and the establishment of an e-waste plant at the national level is a very, very important provision in the bill, and I support that. However, I would also then make a proposal for your considerations in the Tobacco that as we establish an e-waste plant, we maybe make it a regional based, because a county like Nairobi can only, you can imagine the extent of the waste that we are dealing with in Nairobi County, such that we do not limit to the national e-waste plant only. We can have it at respective counties. For those counties that are able to establish, they can establish. Let the law provide for a county-based e-waste plant so that we open up for counties that are willing to do that. I say so because, Madam Speaker, in the county I represent, Bomet, we have the affordable housing plant that is built. Next to it is a waste management site, which the county government has completely failed to deal with it. And by extension, it means that even though the houses are ready for occupation, we cannot commission them. We cannot hand them over. Why? Because there has been a failure on the part of such a county government to manage the waste. Whether that waste has been classified as degradable or the e-waste is a different story, because when you look at largely such waste, it is affecting, well, Madam Speaker, see you rising. I'll stop at that.
Honorable Senators, it's now 6:30 p.m. Time to adjourn the Senate. Upon resumption of debate on this motion, Senator Wakili Sigei will have a balance of 10 minutes to conclude his contribution to this motion. The Senate therefore stands adjourned until tomorrow, Thursday, 19th February 2026 at 2:30 p.m. Thank you.